Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me and on archive. I'm being joined by Stormy B-Man and Curtis Anderson. I don't know what it is. Lately, I've been messing up my own intro that I've been doing for years. I don't know what it is, but I want to thank you guys for joining me. CMB is like, where are you? They're calling me out for being late. That's all right. All right. What's going on, Stormy?
Oh, it's all good, man. What's going on with you? Appreciate you having me, man. And salute to Kurt as well.
I mean, absolutely, and shout out to Kurt as well, man. Kurt, go ahead and well, actually, I got to get the right brackets up, actually, but we're gonna start off here right out of the gate. Brandon Rios versus Roberto Manos de Piedra Duran, Hands of Stone. Not that we don't know, but tell us how you think Duran would win.
Oh man, this is probably out of the whole tournament. This is a mismatch of epic proportions. Duran, knocks out Brandon Rios maybe in 5 rounds because Duran like inflicts punishment. Then he liked knocking you out. That he was that vicious. He liked to inflict major punishment. He would hit Brandon Rios at will. He would go to his body. I got Duran by an easy 5th round knockout over Brandon Rios, man. Brandon Rios has no chance beating Roberto Duran. None.
Well, there you go. Straight out of the gate. Duran, Stormy B-Man. How do you see it?
Man, this fight will have earned Brandon Rios his nickname, Bam Bam, because that's what he would have went in this fight. Duran goes Bam Bam, and he goes good night. Kurt said it best. He wouldn't go too long either because it'll be when Duran wants to finish him off. That was another aspect of his career, is that he liked to punish certain guys. And we know that Rios going into this fight would be talking crap. So it would just make him earn more and more a beating of a lifetime. That's what Duran would give him. He wouldn't go gently into that good night, but he would definitely go harshly into that good night.
Yeah, if you guys have ever watched Roberto Duran work a punching bag, like a heavy bag, you kind of have an idea how this fight would go. I don't see Brandon doing anything other than covering up, because as soon as he throws something, Duran's gonna catch him with something vicious. If this fight goes past 3 rounds, I would be shocked if it goes past that. Anything other after that, they would have to stop him, man. It'll be an absolute massacre. Whoever picked this fight really does not like Brandon Rios, or just wanted Roberto Duran to have an easy first round so you could get a little closer to the final. You know what I mean? So that's that. Roberto Duran should advance, but let's see if anybody feels like trolling. Press 1 for Rios, 2 for Roberto Duran. This one is pretty much a gimme. We'll move on from this one. We'll let some other people come in the second round. So Big Dog Willie or anybody that wants to come out, we'll let you on. Just we'll get that first round out of the way a little quicker this time. Diego Corrales versus Aaron Pryor. Now, we all know it's going to set up a really good fight in the next round. But let's start with you, Stormy B-Man. How do you see this one?
Well, it's an interesting fight because Diego Corrales, Chico had a lot of heart, man. And for his height at the weight, he did not use the jab, but he liked to fight on the inside. But I think that Pryor was just too much of a buzzsaw and would just basically cut Diego down, and Diego's dad in the corner would stop the fight because he wanted to save his son from the abuse that Pryor could put on him. He would just overwhelm Diego. Diego wouldn't be able to face him. Pryor just brought too much skill, too much ability, too much heart and determination, and he liked punishing people as well.
All right, that's one for Aaron Pryor. Kurt Anderson, how do you see it?
Aaron Pryor was a special fighter. Only lost one fight in his whole career, and that's when he came back. But he never got the big fights. Boom Boom Mancini, Hector Camacho. They ducked Aaron Pryor. A typhoon, a whirlwind, just a force of nature, man. He threw so many punches, and he can box too. He beat Tommy Hearns as an amateur. He had the sparring session with Sugar Ray Leonard. Diego Corrales was a very good puncher, but Aaron Pryor is a special fighter. One of the best 140-pounders ever, if not the best. Aaron Pryor by 7th round knockout. He'll get Diego Corrales out of there with a left combination. And that would be it. That would be all for Diego Corrales. Aaron Pryor just way too much. Pryor by knockout, 7 rounds.
Yeah, I got Aaron Pryor too, man. I think fights to look at is the Castillo fight. Even though he ended up losing, Castillo did. But Castillo would set up Corrales nicely, man, especially in that 10th round when he dropped him. He just lost a little bit of focus there or determination to keep going. Maybe he got discouraged or something, but also mainly the Mayweather fight. If he could set up Corrales and hit him with shots he doesn't see coming, he falls. You know what I mean? And I think he would have a lot of problems with Pryor personally. Chat, press 1 for Diego Corrales. Give me a 2 for Aaron Pryor. If you want to troll, that is for you guys. All right. But that's that. Big Dog Will in the chat talking about social distancing got females losing their minds. All right. Well, it worked out for you, Big Dog Willie, but I still don't know why you voted for Brandon Rios, though. But we'll go ahead and give you the benefit of doubt. Everyone knows what the next match is, and I can't wait till we get to that one, Pryor Duran, but that's going to be something maybe too early in the bracket, but it's going to happen. All right, here's the next one. Mikey Garcia versus Hector Macho Camacho. This is at lightweight. Curtis Anderson, how do you see this one?
It's a good fight, but Hector Camacho at lightweight was, something else, man. It's just that when he ran into Edwin Chapo Rosario left hook, he just wasn't the same mentally. He didn't like getting hit, which is never a good thing. But at his best, I seen him when he fought Jose Luis Ramirez. It's one of the best boxing exhibitions I've ever seen. He was beautiful that night. And I thought he was going to be like that for the rest of, throughout his career. Mikey Garcia, good fighter. Camacho, great fighter at that time. Camacho footwork, and that's the difference. Footwork, he had beautiful footwork and fast hands, man, and smart. I like Hector Camacho by decision over Mikey Garcia. Hector Camacho wins this one going away. Too much talent, too much speed, too much footwork.
Yeah, boxes him, you think, or knockout?
Oh, unanimous decision, Camacho going away.
Gotcha. Okay. Stormy, B-Man, do you see this any differently?
No, I don't see it any differently other than the fact of rather it be a unanimous decision, probably be a KO if it's the Camacho who faces Mikey before he fought Rosario. The Camacho before Rosario was fully committed to hurting the other guy, and with his fast hands and darting in, he didn't mind going for knockouts and stuff like that. He had a lot more fire in him prior to the Rosario fight. So that's the only difference that I would say. If it's before the Rosario fight, he could possibly TKO Mikey, because Mikey doesn't take it very well to the body at all. He's kind of like Keith Thurman. And Hector could get those body shots in there and make him double over and everything, and then with his hand speed overwhelm him and maybe get him to succumb under that type of pressure.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. So with that, I definitely believe Macho Camacho wins. I think the footwork is the main thing. Mikey's, I guess his biggest deficiency is definitely the footwork, without a shadow of a doubt. And I don't think he'll be able to really catch Camacho. Camacho's lethal with his combinations. I kind of see it late stoppage or decision. Camacho, something like a 10 rounds to type decision win. Maybe even a shutout. You know what I mean? Do you think, Curtis, you think he shuts him out, or you think Mikey wins a couple rounds?
No, Mikey won a couple of rounds. Camacho, would take a round off or two,
Okay.
but he will win comfortably. Maybe 9-3, somewhere around that.
All right. And chat, give me a 1 for Mikey Garcia. He needs a lot of votes. And 2 for Hector Macho Camacho. All right. Go ahead and give us that right there. We'll see if anything. I don't think there's going to be any swing here going on. But let's take a look. Let me update something here on my end. There we go. All right. And someone said, Mikey Garcia, okay, but a lot of 2s, though. So that is that. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next fight. Man, this side of the bracket, okay, it's going to be crazy next round. Juan Baby Bull Diaz versus Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker. Stormy B, man, how do you see this one?
I got Sweet Pea winning this one, going away, man. It's a unanimous decision. Diaz probably won't win a round, and Sweet Pea likes to make guys and Kurt just alluded to it a moment ago about footwork, lack of footwork. He would dominate, and he would just make a guy just totally frustrated. I can see him circling around with that orthodox right hand jab in Diaz's face, shooting those left uppercuts to his body and those right hooks to the body. Sweet Pea could work his magic very well against fighters like Diaz.
Okay. How do you see this one, Curtis Anderson?
Oh, this is a mismatch. Another mismatch. Yeah. I'm not sure which one is the biggest, but Pernell wins this 12 rounds to 0. Juan Diaz just doesn't have the skill, the talent, and the speed to keep up with Pernell Whitaker, one of the best fighters you ever see. Footwork, hand speed, ring IQ, too much. Pernell Whitaker by unanimous decision, a wide unanimous decision.
Okay. You know what? I actually think Diaz will get stopped. I think the first 3-4 rounds, Diaz is going to come and throw a shitload of punches. I don't think a lot of them are going to land, but I think he's going to get very, very tired. Very similar to the Marquez fight, only Marquez got hit more than I envisioned Whitaker getting hit. And at some point, I think Diaz would tire out. And I think Whitaker stops him. I think Whitaker, this is one of his over 400 punches landed performances. He's one of the few fighters to land that many punches in CompuBox history. I think this is one of those fights. I think he starts landing so many punches on a tired Diaz, and I think they have to put a stop. I think that either the ref jumps in or they throw in the towel or something. I think Diaz gets stopped. But that's how I see this one. All right. Chat, go ahead and give me a 1 for Juan Diaz or a 2 for Pernell Whitaker. And since we kind of all know people are picking Whitaker, tell me if you think it'll be decision or stoppage, just so we could kind of know how you guys see this one. But it could happen. Look, if Whitaker wants to just take it easy and go for, he could do that too. You know what I mean? But I think he would stop him.
D-Style.
Yeah.
You do know that Whitaker once commented. It was more than once, but he was known for wanting to punish guys over a duration of fights as opposed to knocking them out. It was his philosophy that to get a guy out of there with a punch and knock him out early and everything, that's okay. A guy could say, "Oh, I caught a lucky shot" or whatever. But
Right.
Whitaker's philosophy was when you beat a guy over 12 rounds and you shut him out like he was known to do so many different high quality opponents, it does something to the guy psychologically on the inside because it's like you saw him take a butt whooping for 12 rounds and
Yeah.
it's like, man, he couldn't do anything. And Whitaker really relished the fact of doing that to fighters.
I mean, I agree. Yeah, look, it's Whitaker via whatever he wants, really. But but I just think Diaz will just get tired after 3-4 rounds, and it's going to be too easy of a target, in my opinion. Unless he decides to kind of not do anything for a minute or two every round, just to keep Diaz, I guess, in the fight, like carry him a little bit while he punishes him. He could do that, but I don't know. I just think Diaz just knows one way. He's going to keep coming forward and keep getting punished. But yeah, if Whitaker wants to keep him in there, he could carry him for sure. But I think we all agree that he wins for sure. All right. Most people agree it is I see most people are putting unanimous decision. So that's that. So now we're going to go to this side. Maybe the matches will be a little more interesting. Joel Casamayor from Cuba, all right, versus Vinny Pazienza. Kurt Anderson, how do you see this one?
Casamayor versus Pazienza.
Yep.
Casamayor has more talent, but Pazienza could out hustle him. But I like Casamayor by majority decision. It would be a close fight because Pazienza will win some rounds just by throwing more punches. But Casamayor in a competitive bout will win a close majority decision. Casamayor moves on and Pazienza gets eliminated. So Casamayor.
Okay. Right now, all the other dudes from the modern era are like, why couldn't I get Vinny? Well, why do I have to get Duran and shit? Well, Stormy, how do you see it?
This happens to be one of those fights where I actually feel the opposite from what Kurt is saying. I think that this would be one of those fights that Vinny's physicality would give the impression that he's doing more in the fight because he was one of those guys. Vinny would come in and just, be aggressive, and he would push and force everything. Casamayor definitely has the more refined skills and technique, but this would just, to me, be one of those fights where Vinny might be able to convince the judges, and in that close decision, he gets the nod, maybe by a point or two, but it would be very close. And I think that Vinny would get Joel.
Okay, all right. I do agree this will be a close fight. A lot of people mostly know Casamayor from like when he fought Marquez. I think that was an over the hill Casamayor. But a prime Casamayor 135, I think, gives a lot of guys problems. I think he edges it out against Vinny Pazienza, but I do agree it'll be a close fight, probably controversial in the cards, depending on what you like. But with that said, it's definitely put it up. The chat's definitely going to have a say here because this one is close. You guys are going to actually make me do some math here. So go ahead and give me a 1 for Casamayor and give me 2 for Vinny Pazienza. 1 Casamayor, 2 Vinny Pazienza. We haven't had a lot of ones today, but we'll see if we can get some ones right now. Server B man trying to get a second vote there. I don't know about
I was doing like last night.
Who was that? Who was that again? Was it EJ, right? And then that was in the final too. He's trying to get a second vote. For the chat,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to jump in, we did a couple of fights now. So there we go. I know Callie said he was going to come on, so we'll see if he comes on a little bit. A lot of ones. CMB does say 2. So it does look here. All right, let me put that link again. There we go. The link's right there for anybody that wants to join in as we continue this. Remember, the winner of this is going to be facing Chavez in the final. All right. Casa Mayor actually does advance. You know, so the modern day fighters get one. Okay. Let's see. Let's continue. Look, I have thoughts about this one. And a lot of certain fan base might get mad at me, but that's okay. All right. A lightweight De La Hoya was short-lived. He was very big for the weight. He couldn't stay there that long. But when he was there, he was big for the weight. He had a vicious left hook, a really good jab. And then, of course, Lomachenko is one of the reigning champions today. He's the only reigning champion that really made whatever you want to call it, the cut or whatever. Everyone else kind of felt there wasn't enough yet. But you could argue the same for Lomachenko, but we put him in here. And he's going to be facing Oscar De La Hoya. This is at 135 pounds. How do you see this one, Kurt?
Lomachenko, I got him on my number 2 pound for pound list right now with the stoppage because of the virus. But it's a very good fighter. Overhyped, the media, does the worst because it could turn you off and make you go against a fighter. I like his old school approach. That would be Lomachenko. Good, very high boxing IQ. Good talent. Great talent. But De La Hoya was a big lightweight who had a terrific left hook, who had fast hands. I think it's a real bad matchup for Lomachenko because De La Hoya was long. Fast hands, great left hook. He could knock Lomachenko out with one of those hooks. He punches well to the body. I like De La Hoya. I'm going to say De La Hoya knocks him out in 10. I'm going to say he catches him with that left hook and late in the fight and get him out of there. Lomachenko defense should be a lot better, but it's not. He gets hit a lot. Linares knocked him down. He was getting hit with Luke Campbell. Orlando Salido was going to his body. So I like De La Hoya to knock out Lomachenko in 10 rounds. De La Hoya was big and terrific left hook, and that would have been enough.
All right. Yeah, a fight that sticks out to me is the Gerardo Hernandez fight where, basically made him quit after 6 rounds. You know what I mean? And it's just too big. But Lomachenko, obviously a very talented fighter. So we got a point here, 10 points for De La Hoya. All right. So we got Stormy B, man. Go ahead and tell me who do you think would win this fight at 135?
Without a doubt, I've got De La Hoya winning this fight. And because of the way De La Hoya was when he was at that weight, I give De La Hoya a great victory, a spectacular victory within like 3 rounds.
Ooh.
De La Hoya, his hand speed was something different, special at that weight. But when he caught people with that left hook at those lower weights, they were like, what the hell? So it was like Lomachenko has been dropped by lesser foes. And De La Hoya was the kind of guy at that weight and at that time, he could put you down and that would be it. I still remember what he did to Gabriel Ruelas. It was like when he got hit with that shot, he didn't know where he was.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've got De La Hoya 3 rounds.
That Jorge Paez, too. I mean, that dude went to sleep, bro, in the middle of the ring. What's up, Big Dog Willie?
Yeah.
What's happening?
And what's up, Kelly?
What's happening, man?
What's going on, guys? Let's start with you, big dog. Oscar De La Hoya or Vasily Lomachenko?
So, I got Oscar, but I don't think Vasily Lomachenko is going to get knocked out. I think that knowing that he's going up against Oscar De La Hoya, he's going to basically run. I can't see him mixing up with De La Hoya. De La Hoya is a big, like he said, a big 135. So De La Hoya got hand speed just as fast as Vasily Lomachenko. I think De La Hoya is just a bigger fighter, and I think he's just better. All that footwork, I think Lomachenko is just too small for him. But I don't think Lomachenko is gonna get knocked out, but he will get beat. So I got a decision, unanimous decision.
Unanimous. Gotcha. Okay. Kelly, how do you see it? Are you with the Matrix or with the Golden Boy? How do you see it?
Oscar destroys Vasily Lomachenko, man. Lomachenko fades in the second half of the fight, especially late in the fight. With guys, tall fighters, Lomachenko has a ton of problems. Oscar De La Hoya had an underrated overhand right, straight right hand. That's the punch that gives Lomachenko a major problem. Oscar De La Hoya also had a great jab. He would keep Lomachenko off balance all night, and he would throw him to the body, and he would end up finishing him. I think he would finish him with a straight right hand, in my opinion. Maybe he could potentially follow up with a left hook, but I think he gets put down. I think he probably gets put down maybe once, but he might get up once, and then after he gets put down a second time, he won't get back up. So 7 rounds, within 7 rounds, Oscar De La Hoya destroys Vasily Lomachenko, and the fight's not competitive at all, man. I don't think Lomachenko wins a round. I think Lomachenko's obliterated from round 1 on, and I think he's gonna just completely run this dude over, man, like a Mack truck.
So what? White Jesus ain't turning water into wine is what you're saying.
Not at all, bro. Not at all, bro. Yeah, he's gonna be white Jesus is gonna be drunk. He's gonna be drunk from getting knocked out.
Look, I honestly don't like. Every time I think about this fight, I don't know why. I just see a first round knockout, guys. I just see the left hook landing in night. And if it doesn't happen in the first, it'll happen somewhere in the first 3 rounds, in my opinion. At some point, the puncher De La Hoya is going to land. And not only that, the jab of De La Hoya would cause him so many problems. And look, maybe in the end, Lomachenko has a better lightweight career and is more of an accomplished lightweight than Vasily Lomachenko. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, than De La Hoya. But, in this tournament, it's just when these guys were at the weight, De La Hoya wasn't there long. He had like 5-6 fights there at the most, and then he left the division. He was just too big, but that's the point. He was a big-ass fucking lightweight. This dude was too big for that weight class. I mean, 5'10", 5'11". Okay, I mean, he had the arm length over Lomachenko. He had an amazing piston-eye jab, and, of course, the hook. Lomachenko goes night-night with that hook. Boston Dialogue brings up the John Molina fight. I mean, how does Vasily Lomachenko do against John Molina? I don't know.
Molina will get him a tough fight, man.
Yeah.
He really would.
I think Molina sleep him too, bro.
Yeah.
Sleep him too.
That would be Orlando all over again. But from a better fighter.
I mean, just remember, Linares caught him. You know what I mean? And look, I'm not downplaying Linares. He's a good fighter, but
but if Linares, if he doesn't land that liver shot, in my opinion, I think Lomachenko was gonna lose. And the liver shot is what saved him, bro. Now he looked like he was on his way to losing the fight until he landed the liver shot. You got to give him credit; he landed it. Yeah. But before then, Lomachenko was falling apart at the end of the fight. And I just keep looking at that. I keep looking at that in the Luke Campbell fight. And there's no way in the world he would have survived during the 90s.
Let's say Oscar doesn't get him out of there in the first 2 rounds. I still think that jab is going to give Lomachenko so many problems. If Luke Campbell,
he ain't gonna be able to see. He won't be able to see because of that jab. I'm being dead ass serious. His eye will be swollen up within the first 2 rounds, man. First 2 rounds, eye be swollen. He won't even be able to see.
Well, so far it's pretty unanimous here. So far, it looks like De La Hoya is running away with it. Let's see what the chat thinks. Okay, Boxing Dollar made the point that the left hook is hard to land on a southpaw. All right, I hear you, but all I'm saying, man, I think he would give him a lot of problems.
Well, you think we start thinking about when he's landing that right hand, that's going to allow that left hook to eventually land. Because Oscar's, everybody got people. I know everybody thinks about the left hook, but his right hand wasn't bad, man. It really wasn't.
I mean, let me kind of. Does Oscar in the elite level, when he fought elite guys, what's the right hand there? You could argue no, but he had for the first 8 rounds against Trinidad, he was landing the right hand. You know, against Vargas, he did a really good job under. Then again, this was with Floyd Sr. As a trainer. But even before that, he was really good at setting up punches. Look, if anybody out there really believes that Lomachenko could give an Oscar at 135 problems and win this fight, hey. But I just think Oscar wins this fight. I know it's going to piss off a lot of Lomachenko fans that say he's the best lightweight of all time and all that, but I don't even think he gets past this round. But let's see what you guys think. Give me a 1 for Vasyl Lomachenko, 2 for an Oscar De La Hoya. And while we're at it, look, if Vasyl Lomachenko fights a Devin Haney, a Tank Davis, eventually a Teofimo Lopez and stuff like that, and, destroys those guys, maybe we could revisit how we see Lomachenko 135 against all-time greats. But as of right now, I mean, I could only go by what we have. I could only go by the data we have. And, aside from revisiting it, I stand where I stand. It looks pretty unanimous. Two.
And Oscar would have been hands down the fastest lightweight that Vasily would have ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Boxing Dialogue, Field Lomachenko would have won. Okay, fair enough.
How old is that dude? How old is that dude?
I don't know, bro, but everyone sees things differently. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
I know.
But there's definitely a pretty wide for De La Hoya. So we're gonna move on from this one, guys. Oscar De La Hoya does advance. All right. And we're now going to move to this fight. Juan Lascano versus Ken Buchanan. Stormy, how do you see this fight? I hear some background noise, guys. Go ahead and mute.
That's me. My fault.
Okay.
My fault.
Okay.
I see this one. I have to go old school with Ken Buchanan because Lascano, in the biggest fight of his life, saw himself getting put out by Whitaker. So I see Buchanan taking this one easy. I say about round 9.
Okay.
What was that?
Okay, I got you.
Round 9. About a round 9 stoppage.
All right, so you got Lascano, and then Curtis Anderson, Juan Lascano, or Ken Buchanan in this first round. How do you see it?
Go fight. Ken Buchanan was a good fighter. So was Lascano, who had one of the greatest nicknames I ever heard, man.
That's right.
Calling Pan. I love that name, man. But something just tells me my intuition. Good fight. I like Ken Buchanan by close, unanimous decision. Lascano will have his moments, but I like him 115, 113 across the board. So I got Ken Buchanan going to the next round. Lascano will fight gallantly, but will come up short. Buchanan by decision.
Okay. All right. So far, we got Buchanan here. How do you see this one, Kelly?
Yeah, I agree. I think Ken Buchanan wins via knockout, man. Ken Buchanan faced Ken Buchanan faced really, really good competition. Had a pretty solid jab, underrated defense from Ken Buchanan. I think he would eventually catch him coming in with a right hand in the fight.
Okay.
Within 8 rounds.
All right. Ken Buchanan went 13 rounds with Roberto Duran, for anybody who's wondering. Let's see. Big Dog Willie.
I'm just going to take this. I got Ken Buchanan. Right now, I'm trying to cook something, so I'll come back on in a second.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right. So Big Dog Willie.
He's cooking for his threesome, man.
Look, I think Ken.
Not funny, Callie.
I think.
What did you say, man?
Yo, so here's how I see it, guys. So I think Ken Buchanan wins this fight by decision. I don't know if he can knock out a Lascano. I saw Lascano take a beating from. I mean, he gave him a good fight, but eventually Castillo was hitting him with everything, and he was standing in the end. His face was busted up and everything, and he took that. But to that point, he always fell short. Like there was always something where Lascano couldn't quite get past that hump. You know, always. Anytime he stepped up to this level of competition, he didn't quite do it for whatever reason, you know. So, I mean, I don't think Lascano lived up to his potential. I think he could have done more. But I do believe eventually, or just in general, I think Buchanan would win a unanimous decision here. So I do believe Buchanan would advance. Chat, give me a 1 for Juan Lascano, the Hispanic causing panic. All right. Against Ken Buchanan. UK versus, he was American from El Paso, Texas, by the way, Lascano. I wanted to vote for him just for that. But I think what happens, Lascano hurts him. The ref stops the fight for momentarily so they could tie Buchanan's shoes. And then they restart the fight. Buchanan hurts him and they stop the fight prematurely. Kind of like the Haddon fight. Something like that. But you guys remember that fight with Rick Haddon?
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was so pissed off when that happened. But I think he had Haddon there. But what are you going to do? All right. It looks like we got 1 for Lascano, another 1 for Lascano. Wow. Chief Funky for Lascano, CMB for Lascano. 2 for Ken Buchanan by AJ 10. Is that all you guys got or what? 1 for Lascano, 2 for Ken Buchanan. Now let's go ahead and while they vote there, we got this fight.
And I got a correction, D-Style. I got a correction. I mentioned Whitaker with him, but I was thinking about Golden Johnson. But that's who I was thinking about. But I said Whitaker's name. Yeah. Okay. So I just wanted to make that correction out there.
No problem. That happened. I think you were cutting off a little bit, so I don't even remember hearing that, but it was cutting off a little bit.
I didn't hear that either, man.
Yeah, but I did hear when you said you got Ken Buchanan winning that fight. Shout out to Big Dog. Big Dog Willie confused. I was talking to Callie earlier. It was what was it, Callie? What do you call the haircut?
The high top fade. Mildred Taylor and Terry Norris. After he was looking at the high top fade, man, something I used to have. I used to have the high top fade, had the S curl fade, high top fade. I had all that shit, bro. And that was just the time period. I had the high top fade from, what was it, like 86 to at least all the way to about the 90, 91 where the S curl came in. S curl fade. Now I know I had a S curl all over my head and put it like in the natural, but an S curl. Then I went with the S curl fade. Then started just going back to just rocking the Caesar for a while. Rocked the Caesar for, I would say, all the way through hell through junior college and stuff like that. So yeah, man, I had rocked the Caesar for that Caesar with 360 waves. So man, I've been through it when it come to hairstyles, man. And then after I was with the 360 waves, I went to the fro. So I had an afro, I had a tapered fro, and now I'm growing back. I'm growing a taper fro out again, man. I was gonna go curl, but I said fuck this. I'm doing with the taper fro because I don't really see nobody rocking it. So I wanted to go back to rocking the taper fro again. That's what I'm about to go do, man. But simply it'll be a little higher this time.
You know what's gonna a bunch of Lomachenko fans gonna be making videos, man, all upset that he didn't in advance. You should watch, okay? But it's all right.
Nobody care about Lomachenko. No, I'm just playing.
But so Buchanan advances, guys, and now we're moving on to Jesus Chavez, not to be confused with Julio Cesar Chavez, but versus Rocky Lockridge. Like I understand it, Rocky Lockridge for the most part fought at 130. But let's say he did fight in his prime at 135. You know what I mean? Just it's fantasy. It's not that far from 135, right? Against Jesus Chavez, who you can kind of say the same about. So you could say two small lightweights here going at it. Both very aggressive fighters. I already know who I got winning, but let's start with Curtis Anderson. How do you see this one?
Well, it might be a little bias on my part because I used to hang out with Rocky Lockridge, playing cards at Lou Duva restaurant with Tony Ayala and Bobby Chaz. Lou Duva had a very popular restaurant, Totowa, New Jersey, over from my hometown, Patterson and Newark. It was in between. And, they had Ice World and they had the restaurant, you get something to eat. And the fighters used to be in there. I worked on the shipping docks like 3 blocks away. And me and Rocky and Johnny Bumps and the Bumps became really good friends. We used to eat, it was a mom and pop's restaurant called Poke Weenies in Patterson. And, we used to play dice and cards and all of that, hang out on the street. So I'm, going to be, I just love Rocky, man, Lockridge. He was a down-to-earth guy, rest in peace. The fights with Roberto Gomez, and Xavier Pedroza. This will be a tough fight because Jesus Chavez is a tough fighter, man, that gives his all. You can't hate on that like that. He hit Mayweather just about more than anybody. Corley and Mosley hurt Mayweather, but Jesus Chavez hit him a lot, repetitively. But Rocky Lockridge had a X factor. That was the overhand right, the one that knocked out Roger Mayweather. He fought majority at 130, so 5 pounds ain't really, too much. Both men will probably go down, get knocked down. One of the best fights of the tournament. It will be highly competitive. It will be give and take, ebbs and flows. It'll be a candidate of Fight of the Year because they styles play into each other. I will give Lockridge the nod by majority decision. It will be a tough fight and go either way. Either way, it can be even a draw. But I like Rocky by a hair over Jesus, the tough Jesus Chavez.
All right. So we got one for Rocky Lockridge. Stormy, B-Man, how do you see this one, man?
Oh, man. Since Jesus Chavez likes to fight in your grill, he be up in your chest and everything, but didn't have the equalizer, the punch. I think that this would play more to the advantage of Rocky Lockridge. I think that Lockridge would be able to be more versatile in the fight. He'll be able to use some angles and everything, plus getting his combinations off. And I think he would outwork Chavez. So I'm going with Rocky Lockridge with a majority decision.
Okay. Kelly Enigma.
Funny thing is they fought before, and I know this because my dad has this fight on VHS, and I actually got a chance to watch this years ago. So to me, I thought the fight the fight was scored a majority decision. I thought it was a draw. To me, it's tough, man. Can I give? I guess we have to give a winner and loser, right?
Yeah, but I don't they never fought though.
I could have swore they fought, man.
I don't think they fought. No,
No, they didn't fight.
I could have swore they fought, man.
He fought Julio Cesar Chavez, but not Jesus Chavez.
Oh, Jesus Chavez. Okay, I thought we was talking about Julio Cesar Chavez.
No,
My bad,
Jesus, yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm about to say, man, my bad, bro. My bad. I'm going Rocky Lockridge, man. Again, okay. I'm going Rocky Lockridge, man. That dude was a massive fucking puncher, bro. Massive puncher, brutal body puncher, brutal hooks. I'm going with him, bro. Going with him by knockout.
Hey,
late round knockout.
Definitely, man. Shout out to Mr. Shelton. Salute to you, man. I appreciate that. Speaking of the fight with Chavez, you guys got to check that fight out, man.
That fight was amazing, bro.
Against Julio Cesar Chavez is a damn good fight. You're actually going to see Chavez back up in that fight, okay? So it's interesting. I saw it earlier today. I hadn't seen it in years.
Man, I'm blind. I swear, man, I don't know why I thought that said Julio Cesar Chavez. I don't know. I said Julio Cesar Chavez. What the hell? That's a fighter again.
It happens. It's all right. Mr. Shelton, again, thank you for the support. You guys got to check that fight out. Look, Rocky Lockridge also knocked out Roger Mayweather, I believe in the first or second round. But he knocked him out early.
First round.
First round, okay. So, I mean, we're talking a guy that I saw him knock dudes down with hooks, overhand rights. The dude his power was real. All right. Someone mentioned he fought Gomez, Chavez, went the distance with those guys. Look, I watched the fight earlier. I didn't score it round by round. I was just watching it. But you could argue. I mean, I kind of feel like Chavez won, but like barely. Curtis, who do you think won that fight when he fought Chavez?
Who was that?
Julio Cesar Chavez, Rocky Lockridge. When would you remember?
Chavez won. Lockridge was a tough fighter. He will beat Jesus Chavez because of the competition. Remember, there's a fighter for Puerto Rico nobody talks about. Nobody. His name was Juan Laporte. He knocked out Lockridge in 2 rounds. For everybody, Lockridge for everybody, but Chavez won the fight.
Right. By the way, someone just mentioned Rocky Lockridge had an unofficial win. It's not on BoxRec, but he should have 45 wins because he did knock out a dude with a nice 1-2. Give me a 1, guys, for Jesus. This is Jesus Chavez, and 2 is Rocky. Big Dog Will, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What do you think was
this? I got 2. I got Lockridge.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. My fault. I'm almost done.
You're all right, bro. All right. And of course, CMB, you're saying, I'm just saying, I can't find what he said though, for some reason. Okay. A lot of 2s there for Rocky Lockridge, but like Curtis said, this would be a hell of a fight. While it lasts or whether it goes the distance, it will be a hell of a fight to watch, man. Fight of the year is probably the most exciting of all the fights in the first round that we've gone over so far. I also wanted to mention while we're at it, it's unfortunate what happened to Rocky Lockridge. And not just that it was homeless and all that, but also, I mean, a bunch of really non-boxing fans turned him into this meme. Until this, I don't even know what's funny about it, but the crying meme, if you guys know what I'm talking about, and it's become a meme now. You know what I mean? Like, oh, the crying, but when you actually look at that video, it's a sad video where he's talking to his kids and stuff. And I think that's unfortunate. You know what I mean? Don't honor this man by watching that crying meme and laughing about it. Go watch his fights. Okay, go watch the fights this man had. Okay, appreciate his career. And it looks like Rocky Lockridge will be advancing. Okay, right here. Are you guys familiar with that crying meme?
Yeah.
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I've never seen it, and I'm glad I haven't.
Yeah, like you'll go watch his fights, bro, and there's people like in the comment section talking about the crime meme. It's annoying, to be honest with you, but what are you gonna do? Let me go ahead and update the brackets here. We have some great matchups coming up right now. In all honesty, guys. Okay. Which one do you think was the most one-sided so far, Curtis? The Duran Rios, Whitaker, Diaz.
Probably Duran and Rios, because Duran will punish him and beat the hell out of him. Whitaker would just embarrass Diaz, but I say Duran and Rios.
Duran Rios, gotcha. Okay. How do you feel, Stormy? Which is the most one-sided in your opinion?
Duran and Rios, because again, Bam Bam, he takes it, man, and Duran would be there to give it to him. So that would easily be the wash right there.
Absolutely. And we got the brackets ready. There they are. Okay, so let's get this one started. So far, we're gonna, man, this is tough. Right? But we're gonna start with this right here. All right. Roberto Duran, bro, against Aaron Pryor. Right.
Oh,
Man, I think this should be a final in my opinion, but here it is.
I agree.
But hey, this is the way you guys set it up as you drafted out the matchup. So, Curtis Anderson.
oh boy, man.
Okay, I think you guys can always tell me what you think. You have a right to change your pick before I do render the final thing. By the way, just so you guys know.
If you don't know, I got an idea of who I would want to pick. If you want to wait, Kurt.
Yeah, go ahead. Come back to me. That's how hard it is, man.
All right. So Kelly, Hawk versus Manos de Piedra.
I'm gonna go with Duran for just one reason. Several reasons actually. One of that fucking Duran is a fucking monster, and then another thing is that Pryor tend to he had problems outside of the ring, and you just never know. And he didn't always live the fighter's lifestyle. Was involved in drugs. And when I just take that into account, and you got two great fighters, I'm gonna choose the guy who didn't have substance abuse, at least from what I remember. I'm going with Duran, man. I'm going with Duran by decision.
All right, you got Kelly has Duran by decision. Man, Stormy B-Man. Hawk versus Hands of Stone, man. How do you see it?
Man, it's a really good fight. Amazing that we haven't mentioned this one more on fantasy matchups, but what an outstanding fight. I think at the end of the day, I may have to go with Duran. And that's because of the defensive abilities and counterpunching and the way he worked the body. Duran, watching him recently, we did a show with the Three Wise Men of Boxing. We were talking about him and watching him and what he did against David Moore, how he broke him down, took his title away from him. I could see him drawing Pryor into a fight and taking Pryor to school. If he could take Leonard to school the first time that they fought, I think he could do the same thing to Pryor. I don't think Pryor was more mentally sound in boxing ability than Leonard was. And I think that Duran was much more than what people had given him credit for. So at the end of the day, I could see Duran taking Pryor to school and earning a unanimous decision over him.
Okay. Man, so far it's 2 for Duran, 1 for Pryor. I think I already know the answer to this because of what he said yesterday out loud. But Big Dog Willie keeping the matchup though, because Styles really fights, right?
Duran makes fights.
Yeah, Duran versus Pryor. This is a big one, man, and early on too. So how do you see this one?
Well, I got Duran in this one, but Pryor was no joke. Pryor was no joke. I just see Duran. He has power in both hands. And when he starts getting finesse, like the way he fought Sugar Ray is a great example. He tortured Sugar Ray in that first fight. What I mean by torturing, he just made Sugar Ray so frustrated. And I think Duran will do that to Pryor because I don't think Pryor don't have the same, I wouldn't say the same box IQ as Sugar Ray. And Duran, like Kelly said, he's a monster. He's a monster. He was, man, at 135, he was just a juggernaut. I like I said, I can't think of anybody that can stop him at 135. So I mean, like you said, you already knew what I was going to say.
Well, yeah. I mean, but you could always feel like a guy's the best, but maybe in certain matchups, maybe not. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying, but I just think Duran. I mean, it goes back to how he just watched, especially in the 70's. He just watched through that division like it was no contest every fight, no contest. So I had to go with Duran just at 135 alone.
135, I got you. And people asking, I mean, yes, of course, Pryor mainly fought at 140. I get that, guys. But early in his career, when he first started, he might have had, either closer or whatnot. But he did have some fights where he weighed in 135, 136, 137. So he could have fought, especially if they offered him big money like this tournament would. He could have fought at one. You know what I mean? Like, it's fantasy. So just kind of like with Rocky Lockridge, we kind of got him in there. Casasum, the last one in welterweight. If you guys get my drift, you know what I mean? Curtis, you ready to try and flip things around, or are you ready to kind of agree with the panel? How do you see it?
I'm ready. This is a difficult pick because they supposed that. Well, a lot of people don't know they came really, really close to fighting. Duran people offered Pryor $750,000, and the Pryor accepted. So the fight was going to happen, and the manager, Buddy De La Rosa of Pryor's manager, said no. Just like Leonard, when people say Leonard ducked him, that's not true. They signed the fight, but Leonard had the detached retina, too. That was the second go around. He finally accepted, but the Duran fight was going to happen. It was really, really close, and me and my father was highly anticipating that fight was going to be paid, closed circuit, of course. That would have been a hell of a fight because Pryor can beat Duran, Duran can beat Pryor. Because Pryor can beat Duran by bouncing on his toes. People forget, even though he was a whirlwind fighter, he can bounce on his toes. And he could box. He sparred Sugar Ray Leonard. He beat Tommy Hearns. He knocked out Aguayo. That goes to show you. But Duran, throughout his career, he could be outboxed by people like Kirkland Lang and Wilfredo Benitez and Sugar Ray Leonard, where he quit. Tommy Hearns, he was brutally knocked out. I mean, this is at 135. This is a close fight, man. I give the edge to Duran, but if they fought 5-6 times, Duran will win 3 times. Pryor will win 3 times. That's just how close it is, because I can see it in my head. Pryor, boxing Duran and keeping the jab in his face. And I can see Duran getting close and going to the body. See, when you're a devastated body puncher, you got to get close to your opponent. So you got to sell out, so to speak. But for some reason, I'm going to give it to Duran by a hair. I don't really feel good about the pick because I know they can beat each other. But I'm going to say Duran edges out Pryor, in a hard, grueling fight, a 15-round decision.
Okay. Well, let me give you this caveat. So in this tournament, it's 12 rounds. Does that make a difference for you at all?
Yeah. I mean, not really. I will still pick Duran, in 12 a decision, whether it's 12 or 15, but 12-round decision. Yep. It will be a war, man. I give the edge to Duran. But I can, if they fought 5-6 times, Duran will win 3 times. Pryor will win 3 times.
Okay.
That would be, it will be a war, man. It will be a war. 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 It will be a war.
All right, fair enough. Okay. Man, I'm like torn because, like you, I could see the guy winning. I could see them fight 5 times, and it's controversial every time. I mean, you know what I mean? I could see people divided here, but I'm gonna, man. Well, what if Pryor? What if somebody gives him the black bottle, Curtis? You think that'll help him out? You think he can pull it off?
Well, hey, well, there was water and amphetamines that helps open up your lungs, because that gives you stamina. That's what is in that bottle. But if you go look at the first Ali and Spinks fights, they had a brown bottle instead of a black bottle in that fight. I've been seeing it like 3 or 4 times. Was and what we don't catch, they always slip in something like that, orange juice or some mixed juice that help you, your stamina late fight. It's been done many, many times.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna side with just again. I honestly feel that the service of this fight, in my opinion, is that this is a fight where there would be a trilogy for sure. I don't know who would win the first fight, but since I feel Duran would win that trilogy, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Duran right here. But let's see what the chat thinks. The chat is a little more divided than we are, although we all kind of feel it would be kind of close. But let's go ahead and chat. Give me a 1 for Roberto Duran, Mano de Piedra, or Aaron Pryor, the Hawk. Who do you got? CMB says I'm trying to pull a Max Kellerman, right? But I'm just serious, guy. I don't think it's a give me for Duran, and I don't think the next fight's not a give me either. I have no idea who's going to win the next one. As far as the winner of the next one against, which I kind of already know who's going to be against Duran. You know what I mean?
But I would feel better about Pryor if he didn't have he ended up with such a substance abuse problem. There was rumors that he was doing that stuff while he was fighting, and that's why I picked Duran. I think that slowed down his career and really hurt his career prior. So that's something I think you got to take into account.
I like the pun.
You know what I mean?
Prior to the drug abuse, Pryor was like powerful and unstoppable. But but with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. It looks like Duran's going to advance here. Hector Macho Camacho versus Sweet Pea Whitaker at 135 pounds. Curtis Anderson, how do you see it?
Well, they actually sparred and at the Kronk Gym in '84, and reports that Camacho and his trainer Billy Giles from New York got mad and pulled the gun on Whitaker, because of the frustration. People say Camacho couldn't lay a glove on Pernell Whitaker. Emmanuel Stewart don't like to talk about it. Well, he can't now, but I remember in high school, I was a senior in high school, and I heard about the sparring match, and they said Pernell outboxed Camacho. There was like 7 to 8 people, mainly from New York. There was some Kronk people there, and they denied the incident about the gun. But when Pernell left, they followed him out to his car because they was talking. It was, Whitaker and Camacho always had the underlying rivalry prior to all of them. Rosario. But I will take Pernell in this fight. Camacho was a hell of a fighter in his prime, but he's had a very disappointing career. He was supposed to have been the original Mayweather. If people can make that connection. Same prototype, but I used to see him riding around in Spanish Harlem with his convertible Cadillac. He was something else, man. He was a character. He was loud. He was funny. When he knocked out Leonard, he went to Leonard's after party and started dancing. That's how he was, man. And I got a lot of respect for Camacho. Pernell Whitaker was highly touted, and he lived up to that and more. He's had a fabulous career. So I would take Pernell Whitaker in a boring fight. Two boxers, sitting back, it'll be very boring. Pernell Whitaker wins a very boring unanimous decision over Camacho. It wouldn't be exciting at all.
Okay. Well, there we go. Whitaker takes this one. And Cali Enigma, how do you see it?
Yeah, same thing. Once again, this goes to one guy was more focused than the other guy. This guy had you just don't know which you really don't know which Camacho was going to show up either. Camacho, sometimes he was really good, sometimes he was really bad. Or should I say really bad? Sometimes he was on, sometimes he was a little off. He had a lot of distractions outside of the ring. Dude was pretty much Hollywood, really a big superstar. His outside of the ring persona impacted him inside of the ring at times, sometimes in a positive light, sometimes in a negative light. But as far as skills and the ability to box on the outside and pot shot if he needed to, he had the ability to do that. But he'd be going up against a guy who could match him in athleticism, had a sharper ring IQ than he did, was a little bit better counter punching than him, better body punching than him, fought better on the inside, fought better on the outside. I like Pernell Whitaker by decision.
Well, that's one for Whitaker. Stormy B-Man, how do you see it?
This is a no-brainer for me. Whitaker by unanimous decision. Whitaker, when it came to boxing, he was more dedicated. He had his problems late in his career as well, but during this time, when they were shining at lightweight, Whitaker was head and shoulders above almost every fighter that he fought. He could make the best of the guys. I remember what he did to Zuma Nelson. It's like Camacho would be frustrated. He would be angry, and Whitaker would relish in that as well. It was like he could humiliate a fighter in the ring from round to round and just do things tactically that they can't be repeated because he was such a special fighter. Camacho was undisciplined. He was reckless at times outside the ring as well as inside the ring. And those were the type of things that Whitaker could even exploit more. So I give this fight to a unanimous decision to Whitaker.
All right. And Big Dog Willie, how do you see it?
Yeah, I got Whitaker too. I'd agree with Stormy. Macho would he'll get too pissed off trying to hit Whitaker, and Whitaker's running around clowning with him. And I mean, he'll get frustrated. He's inconsistent as a fighter. I just can't see him being consistent in the ring with Whitaker and being focused for a whole 12 rounds. After he's missing like a whole round, he's not hitting Whitaker at all. So I can't see him. I see him getting frustrated. Macho's hand speed is ridiculous. Whitaker got good hand speed, but I mean Whitaker's defense, and just his ring IQ. I got Whitaker, and I say unanimous decision too.
Okay. Let me say this with all the confidence in the world. So Camacho would beat Whitaker in the entrances. Like his entrance will blow Whitaker away. Like you know what I mean? The entrance would be like, like something else. I don't know. He's gonna come out as a Power Ranger. I don't know the dude's gonna be dressed up as like some Aztec tribal or something. I don't know, but he's gonna have a great entrance. I think this is this is one for the purist. It's gonna be a boxing fight, and I do think that Whitaker wins this one like 10 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 3. I think there'll be some close rounds that, Whitaker just edges out, some rounds that Whitaker clearly wins, and maybe some that Camacho just edges out. But that'll be that. I know CMB wants on. I just sent a link earlier, but let me just put it on again. All right. If you want on, I don't know why he wants on. I don't know. but there it is. But with that said, does anybody disagree that the Camacho wins the entrance?
Oh, hands down.
First round.
Yeah,
First
no, his
round knockout.
personality, he had a lot of flair when it came to entertaining. To me, he has more flair than most of the guys. He got more flair than all the guys coming out now. There's nobody with more flair and personality than Hector Camacho. He was a hell of a character, bro. If he makes Floyd Mayweather look boring, and Floyd Mayweather considered to be somewhat exciting, this dude there's no one who has the flair of Hector Camacho. His character is actually missed in the sport of boxing. His character actually drew in a lot of fans. Even though he was brash and he would talk a lot of shit and drive people crazy, but he drew people. He drew in eyes. I mean, he was fast. He was very even his style of dress, the way he talked, the way he moved. He would come out. He would walk with arrogance, and I would say arrogance, confidence too, but arrogance, definitely arrogant. And he would drive people crazy. But that was his draw. And he also he had a lot of people who hated him, had a lot of people who loved him, he had a lot of people who hated him. It wasn't like people in the middle for Hector Camacho. It was more you loved him or you hated his guts. Go ahead.
Almost every generation has that clown prince of boxing. You know what I mean? He was that for a while.
Right.
So I do remember the satisfaction that I felt when Chavez
beat the shit out of him.
Beating the hell out of him, yeah, because all the shit he talked. And that's when I was a kid and I didn't understand, shit talking, all that. You know what I mean?
But that was it's also marketing
I'll never forget, when Chavez said, "I'm gonna let my fist do the talking," and he did. You know what I mean? And he said, "I'm not gonna knock you out. I'm gonna beat your ass for 12 rounds." Because he was tired of Camacho. So. It worked out.
Wasn't there a time? I just want to say something, Kurt. Wasn't there a time when I think Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. He was like Don King's second his second top fighter behind Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah,
when he like his number 2 fighter.
Yeah, that's why he got the decision over Frankie Randall in the second fight. That's why. He couldn't afford.
Go ahead, sir, Curtis.
He couldn't afford for Chavez to lose that second fight after he lost the first one. But real quick, Camacho's name would have resonated even more if he would have won. You have to win the big fights for people could be really interested. When you're flashy like that and talk a lot, you got to win. Ali did it. Mayweather did it. They won. Camacho after Rosario, he just totally changed after that. Yeah. Because he got hurt by Rosario's left hook. But you got to win when you have a flair and fancy and loud like that. You got to win for people to take you serious.
But think about this. Imagine.
Hold up, Kelly. Hold up. Okay, just because we got to keep it moving, guys. But give me a 1 for Whitaker, guys, and give me a 2. All right. I apologize. 1 for Camacho, 2 for Whitaker. Tell me how you guys see that one. And we got CMB on here. What's going on, bro?
Hey, what's good, if you can hear me?
Yeah, we could hear you loud and clear, man. Before we move on, what are your thoughts on Whitaker Camacho?
I just feel as if Whitaker was always a savage. Now, I was born in the 70's, and I love boxing. But I just tell you this. I have nothing but respect for Macho Camacho. Nothing but respect. But come on, man. 2 different leagues. 2 different leagues of ballers right there. That's like the International League versus the NBA. Them shits don't add up.
I got you.
All right. So that should explain that.
Start us off with this. Joel Casamayor versus Oscar De La Hoya at 135 pounds. How do you see this one, bro?
You still talking to me?
Yes.
Well, to keep it 100%, man, this was we're going to take a prime Oscar. Oscar has been a punk as of late, But back in the day, man, Oscar was this prime ass fighter, and Casamayor not so much. It's like I remember the fights, so I'm gonna ride with Oscar, and I know it's not a good thing. I know it's not cool because we know Oscar's opponent. But you got to give respect where respect's due. Oscar worked his ass off to be the golden boy, and he whipped a whole lot of asses. Man, when he would uh, Tito, I was like, come on, man, really? I didn't even see that coming. I thought Tito was gonna pull it out. No, nah. Oscar got it, and I said, all right. At that point, Oscar, we're gonna have to give you respect. But then he started doing funny type shit which goes into the future, et cetera, and so on. So I don't think that applies. You know,
I hear
back in
you.
the day, Oscar's, hey, Oscar De La Hoya. Yeah, I do pick him over Castro every time.
Okay. All right. So Simi's got De La Hoya, Curtis Anderson. How do you see this one?
Excuse me, I had to get off mute. De La Hoya destroys Casamayor. Casamayor is a talented fighter, but De La Hoya is on a whole nother level. Big, left hook, speed. Casamayor not good enough. Even though De La Hoya lost a lot of big fights in his career, but at that weight, he was a really good fighter because he had the size advantage along with the all-around skill set. De La Hoya knocks out Casamayor in 6 rounds.
Ooh, all right. And Stormy B-Man, El Cepillo versus the Golden Boy. Who do you think wins this one at 135?
The Golden Boy. He will totally dominate Casamayor. He will make him look as bad as he made the Ruelas guy look. He would probably even get a possible stoppage on cuts or something like that. That's another thing Oscar used to do, is bust guys up too. I could see Casamayor even quitting on the stool or something, but it would definitely be more like a TKO stoppage, round 8, 9, 10, something like that. De La Hoya, hands down, winning, going away.
All right. And by the way, shout out to Blood Boxing in the chat. I appreciate it. Everybody check out Retro Box Sports Documentaries. Great channel. All right. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. Kelly, how do you see Cepillo versus Golden Boy?
Okay, mute. It's hard to get off mute. Oh man, it really is hard to get off mute, man. I don't know why this thing.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Oh, it's easy, man. I said De La Hoya, man, via knockout destruction, bro. To me, this is a 4-round fight. I mean, I like Yoel Casamayor, but I mean, some people thought he was much older than what he was when he fought too. And if that's the case, Asa De La Hoya probably annihilates him. Within 4 rounds, man. He left himself open quite a bit. Yoel Casamayor, you can't do that against Asa De La Hoya, man. He destroys him with the left hook, man. Fight's over.
Night Casamayor, man. The modern fighters are about to get eliminated in this bracket. But let's see, Big Dog Willie, do you see it any differently?
No, I do not. I got De La Hoya. De La Hoya is just a better fighter, hands down.
Yeah,
just a better fighter. That's all I got to say. He's just a better fighter. I can't see Castro doing anything with De La Hoya at 135.
Okay. I do think that Casamayor might give De La Hoya problems early. A little elusive, so he might give us some problems. But I ultimately do agree. I think ultimately De La Hoya would take over. I think the size would matter. I think the power of De La Hoya, again, the left hook, they're very, very powerful. And I think he does stop Joel Casamayor ultimately. If not, it's a 116, 112 on the scorecard, something like that. But I do think De La Hoya does win this fight. Maybe I think he gives De La Hoya a better fight than most of the panel, but ultimately I still think De La Hoya wins. Chat, give me a 1 for Joel Casamayor. Give me a 2 for Oscar De La Hoya. Cepillo versus Golden Boy. I hope I don't lose all my Cuban subscribers after this, but we'll see. Right? We're already starting with the 2s right there in the chat. Does anyone think, if you think Casamayor could win, give me a reason. I do want to ask the panel really quick, if I may. I got a private message here. Okay, CMB. Okay, I hear you, bro. But
Sorry.
yeah, you can't vote twice, CMB. All right, it's already lopsided, bro. You want to vote again?
Hey man, it is what it is. That's all I'm saying. It is what the fuck it is.
It's just a nice little security blanket, right? I want to ask just one word answer. We don't really need a long breakdown, so we can move on. But just I'm going to go down the panel really quick. If hypothetically Lomachenko would have advanced, Lomachenko or El Cepillo, Casamayor, Curtis, who do you think would have won that fight?
That's a very interesting matchup. Casamayor, good fighter, will give Lomachenko problems because of his Cuban school boxing ability. The competition that Lomachenko faced. What's the fighter from Puerto Rico that gave him problems, and he knocked him down the 11th round? The guy from Puerto Rico. Yeah.
He's talking about the one that Tank Davis destroyed in the 9th round.
Right.
What the hell is dude's name? I'm saying, God, this is happening too much to me.
It ain't Ugas. Not Ugas. It's
I can't quite remember, to be honest with you, off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
Corrales.
Okay. Have a good night. Anyway, getting back to the fight, I like Casamayor. It will be a competitive fight, but I think Casamayor pulls it out. I see weaknesses in Lomachenko. Casamayor would destroy Luke Campbell, will outbox him, knock him out late. What's his name, man?
Jose
anyway,
Pedraza is the
yeah, that's it, Pedraza. I totally forgot. Pedraza was giving Lomachenko problems. Jorge Linares. So why couldn't
Casamayor? Yeah, I apologize. Go ahead.
Casamayor would beat Lomachenko by decision.
Okay, Stormy, you see that any different, or you think Loma would have won?
Between Loma and Casamayor?
Or who do you think would have won that fight? Yeah,
Casamayor.
Casamayor, okay.
Because he has, he has a pro style. Cuban fighter with a pro style, but it's like that is the Achilles for fighters like Lomachenko, and that's it. It will always be that way. Those guys, they learn to win fights, point scoring, and moving their hands and things like that. But professional fighters get on the inside, they break you down. It's a different type of systematic approach.
Right.
And that's the difference between what Lomo brings and a fighter like Casamayor would bring.
Gotcha.
Right, but can I ask one question? Just one question. Can I
go ahead.
When's the last time we seen a Cuban champ at any division, from featherweight up to heavyweight? It's like they always in the mix, but ain't nobody winning shit, correct?
Yeah, they usually come over here late though, man. It's like they don't come over here when they're in. Most of the time they don't come in their prime.
I mean,
I
got it. I mean, I don't want to dive into a long conversation about. Just we want to move on. But who do you think would win though, Casamayor or Lomachenko?
I plead the fifth.
Plead the fifth.
Okay. Callie, who do you think wins?
I'll go with Casamayor, man.
Casamayor?
Yeah, man. To me, Lomachenko hasn't faced the kind of competition that he has. It's okay, but not on the same level, man. And then when you're talking about as far as skill, Casamayor, he was very technically he was technically sound. Of course, he was still leaving stuff over. He would have mental lapses, but it's not the danger against Lomachenko as it would be against some of these other fighters. But no,
Okay.
I got Casamayor, man. I
All
think
right.
Casamayor wins 12 round decision.
All right. Big Dog Willie. Oh, who do you think wins? Really quick. Who do you think wins that fight?
Really quick, Casamayor, because he faced better competition. This guy had problems with Luke Campbell and Pedraza. Come on, man. And he lost to what's his name? The old dude. So yeah.
All right, let's get this moving here. But I actually disagree. I think Lomachenko would win that fight. I think it would be close and competitive. But I do agree that we need more data from Lomachenko. That's why I'm pushing for him to fight the Haney's and the Tank Davises and you got to face the best in your era at that weight class for us to even seriously consider you against the greats that did fight the best in eras. You know what I mean?
Nah, he likes the franchise title, man. That's what he likes.
Well, if he does that, he's not going to be put up there with all the greats. Like, you know what I mean?
He already had. Remember, he already took the franchise title. He done David 80 already.
That's why we got to go ahead and allow, or demand that Lomachenko fights the best. You know, it's not over. You could still fight these guys. You know what I mean? But let's go ahead and move on, guys. De La Hoya wins this round. This is actually interesting to me. I have no idea where the panel's going to go with this, actually. But Ken Buchanan versus Rocky Lockridge. Let's start with you, Curtis. Who do you think wins this fight?
That's a tough fight for Rocky. Because Rocky wasn't big in stature, but he did have, I think his overhand right will land, and I think it will trouble Buchanan. I think, I hate to go against my friend, but I got to be real. I think Buchanan wins a close decision. Maybe majority or 115, 113 across the board, because sometimes Lockridge has lapses. That's why he got knocked out by Juan Laporte. And other fights, he didn't look that good, plus he faded down the stretch like he did against Eusebio Pedroza. I got Buchanan by close decision.
All right. Okay. And Stormy B-Man, how do you see it, man?
I got Buchanan because Buchanan would be a little bit tougher in the trenches and everything. And as it was just alluded to by Kurt, he would fade down in the stretch. And then he also had lapses of focus in matches. And Buchanan, it took someone with the guile and the machismo of a Duran to bend him. And Rocky didn't have what Duran had. So I would go with Buchanan in this one.
Okay. All right. So far, Buchanan has the lead here. Kelly, do you see it any differently?
Nah, man. Well, I do see one thing differently. I think Rocky goes to sleep, bro. Me personally, Ken is much better defensively, far more focus, and has a jab. Had a pretty decent jab. So I'm going with Ken by knockout. 8 and 9 rounds.
I just see, I think Rocky knocks him out. I don't know if Ken could take that power, bro. I think he stops him late. That's what I think. But if I'm putting my vote for Rocky Lockridge, but I'm definitely going to be outvoted here more likely. Big Dog Willie, are you there?
Yeah, I'll vote in the chat for this one. I'm trying to do something real quick.
All right. And of course we got. Well, he fell off here, so is he back on? CMB, Ken Buchanan versus Rocky Lockridge. How do you see it? You there, bro? All right, well, we wait on CMB. Chat, give me a 1 for Ken Buchanan. Give me a 2 for Rocky Lockridge. In the second round matchup, who is going to advance to face Oscar De La Hoya 135? Let's find out. So 1, Ken Buchanan. 2, Rocky Lockridge. Let's see what you guys think. CMB, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, bro. Who do you got, man?
Yo, this one's kind of tricky. Uh, so I got to go with the least. It's hard to explain. Fuck it, man. I'm gonna jump in with Rocky, man, because I can't ride with Ken after what he did with my boy. What he did with Lascano was not cool. So I want to see Rocky handle the business. Let's see if Rocky is the real deal. I don't think he is, but let's see it.
Okay, that's a kind of sorta I'm not sure type of vote, but I got you. But I see the chat not really voting on this one. Once again, I see you guys on there. 1 for Buchanan, 2 for Rocky. If not, we'll move on. Looks like a big lead for Ken. So, all right. While we wait on any possible other votes, I'll go ahead and update the brackets here. Let me just do this really quick. Give me a second. All right, we got 1 for Ken Buchanan. All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, we're going to go ahead and keep this moving, guys. The next matchup is a very, very interesting matchup. It's a fantasy matchup that people have talked about for years, right? And this matchup may very well determine the winner of the whole thing, not just this bracket, but we'll find out. But anything could happen. But we got Manos de Piedra versus Sweet Pea Whitaker. Let's start with you, Big Dog. Well, you got some noise there. Make sure you mute yourself. But
Okay.
Curtis, let's start with you. Manos de Piedra Duran versus Sweet Pea Whitaker. How do you see that one?
I'm going with Duran.
No, hold on, Big Dog. Oh, hold up. We're starting with Curtis Anderson first.
Oh, my fault.
Yeah. Go ahead, Curtis.
Man, this is a tough one. You know, Durant a monster going through the division. Durant never fought nobody like Whitaker. Whitaker never fought nobody. Well, I'll take that back. He fought Chavez. You know, same prototype. I like Whitaker in this fight, man. I like Whitaker. It's kind of messed up because I'll let you guys know later. I wanted to see 2 certain fighters fight and a dream fight, but you know, Pernell will beat Duran. He wouldn't let Duran get close to his body. He will move and he will box. And we all know what kind of boxer he was. He was a master boxer. You know, he would stay away from Duran, not the most exciting fight. Duran would be stalking, telling Whitaker to come on and fight like a man. And I think Whitaker would be smart and win a unanimous decision. And after the fight, Duran will call him a mighty gone coward. I like Whitaker by decision. Man, I had something set up myself, man, but I just think that Whitaker legs will be too much for Duran, and it wouldn't be exciting because Whitaker would respect Duran. Duran depends on body punching and getting in the inside and breaking you down and then punishing you and then knock you out. But Whitaker would not let him get close, and I like Whitaker by decision over Duran. I don't feel good about the pick, though, because when I say I don't feel good about the pick, that's because I'm not sure. But the way I see it, studying both guys, I would say Whitaker. But one thing before you pass the mic real quick, I want to say happy birthday to my favorite athlete of all time and my favorite fighter, Sugar Ray Robinson. Once at his prime, out of thousands of fighters, and we talking about all these great fighters from 1940 to 1951, he had a record of 128 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws, with 84 knockouts. And mind you, as an amateur, he was undefeated, 85-0, 69 knockouts, 40 in the first round. So when you put the amateur and pro career together, his first 11 years, he was 200 and something and one with like, let me see, 84, like 120, 30 something knockouts. Picture that. Next, you can pass the mic.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Happy birthday to Sugar Ray Robinson, the original Sugar Ray. There you go. All right. Let's go ahead and go with. Go ahead, Big Dog Willie. Who do you think wins this fight, man? Whitaker or Roberto Manos de Piedra Duran?
I got Duran. At 135. I think well, I know what's the name will get on at 147 at welterweight, but Duran at 135. I think Duran he fights.
What's his
bigger.
name? Whitaker's his name.
Whitaker, my fault. Whitaker at 147, and I got Duran at 135. Duran, he somehow he waist bully. He gets you in the corner. He hits hard. Every punch that he throws is like he said, feel like a rock hitting you. He's nasty. I mean, I think Whitaker can get away from that for maybe a few rounds, but I mean, at 135, I don't think Whitaker at that weight can deal with Duran, and that's just basically my opinion. And I like Duran, so Duran's one of my favorite fighters. So I'm a little biased on that one.
All right.
Be honest with you.
What's going on, CMB? I see you came back on, bro. Tell me who you think wins this fight. Roberto Duran versus Whitaker at 135 pounds.
I love Whitaker. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I do love Whitaker. But Hands of Stone he is and was and still is just a beast with it, you know? So I'm going to lead towards Duran with that one too. I'm sorry, people might get mad at me.
Okay. I just wanted your pick quick because it looks like I know you're having internet issues, so I wanted to get you in right away.
I know.
Yeah.
I really am having issues for real.
Okay. No problem. We got your boat here. Stormy B, man. Manos de Piedra against Sweet Pea. Who do you got, man?
Great fantasy matchup. A wonderful, wonderful matchup between two outstanding champions at the weight. But Pernell Whitaker will take Duran apart. Boxing ability.
Hey guys, one at a time.
Boxing ability, his evasiveness, the way that he could improvise his movements, he would frustrate Duran. And the fact that Sugar Ray Leonard in their rematch was able to do the same, but not to the degree that Whitaker could do, that right there was the blueprint. And that was the difference. So if Ray Leonard in his rematch with Duran could do what he did to him, Sweet Pea could be even more evasive and elusive than Ray Leonard and still score at the same time. The little jar or box that they would have in Whitaker's corner would be Duran's heart in that box for when the fight was over, because he would have Duran in the palm of his hands. That's what I got to say about that.
All right. That's 10 for Whitaker. This is a close one. Callie, what do you got?
I had the same thing. Whitaker's ability to slip and counter and to pivot and counter and to dip low and slip jabs and straight right hands. And it's just something. I mean, he was able to bend down at the waist, damn near squat all the way down to the canvas to avoid a shot. I just think he'll be able to stay away from Duran and frustrate him, to be honest with you. And I think he'll end up winning the fight 9-3. Boring decision, pot shots, not a lot of punches thrown by Whitaker, but not a lot of punches landed by Duran either.
So power don't count for nothing around here. Okay.
Power don't matter if you can't hit them.
That's what I was getting ready to say. I've seen a lot of power punches get neutralized. Go ahead, D Style.
Okay. I'm gonna let everyone I just want to make sure, guys, that everyone kind of gets their say, and then I'm gonna give you guys an opportunity to retort, respond if you have something else to say. Just kind of let whoever's talking get their flow going, because if you interrupt somebody mid sentence, man, you could ruin their train of thought. Like a lot of things could happen. So just let people kind of say what they want to say. This is a tough fight. Okay, and the fact that it's 12 rounds kind of helps Whitaker a little bit. If it was 15, maybe Duran gets him late. But in a 12-round contest, there's a shorter window of time where Whitaker can kind of, pot shot him. And, but I still think he would land some combinations on Duran and, get some rounds in. But ultimately, I still think it would be a close fight. I mean, Duran was a tank at 135 pounds. A tank. And this guy fought, middleweights that said, this dude could hit hard when he was old, right? Just imagine at lightweight, and it's not just the power. Duran was, pretty decent boxer, okay? And he was one of the best aggressive fighters I've ever seen. I think that this fight would be close, and I think the judges would likely give it to the aggressor. It may be in very controversial fashion, but I do feel that Duran would win. Okay. So I'm giving it to Duran. Before I proceed and before I put the vote out for the chat, does anybody want to add anything?
Yeah, I got something.
If you were very clear in what you said and decisive in what you said. And I think that you made excellent points. So I agree with you 100%. Sir.
That's CMB, right? Okay. Big Dog Willie, what was that?
Yeah, I think like people act like Duran can box. He can fight, man. The man can fight. He can box. So I mean, Whitaker is a better boxer. I hear all that. He can slip, but Duran, like he could box, and he was a tank going forward. So I just that's my opinion, and that's how I feel about it. So
I wanted to say something. Duran was a monster at 135, but he also lost to De Jesus because De Jesus outboxed him, and Whitaker is a much, much, much better fighter than De Jesus ever was. Whitaker, at his best at 135, man, was like almost untouchable. And a fighter can have power, but if you can't hit a person, how can you hurt them? And we've seen over and over that Duran can be outboxed. He was strong, he was quicker than he was at welterweight 135, but he would be fighting a fighter that he doesn't like to fight. Duran gets frustrated. Whitaker footwork would like, drive him crazy. Duran would have his moments, but see, there's always a fight. When we do the fantasy matchup, there's always a fight in a fighter's career that will let you know. You can assess that fighter. Like when you look at the Leonard rematch, how he quit, against Leonard because, things didn't go his way. Or when people say, Mike Tyson, how would he do against Ali? And I would tell him to go look at the Buster Douglas fight. He would break Tyson down psychologically before the fight, but back on this fight. Duran will have his moments, but I like Whitaker. I like fighters with footwork, and I like fighters who can beat a variety of styles.
Okay. I got something to say, D-Style.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Stormy, then I'll go next, guys. But go ahead, Stormy.
Whitaker was the consummate boxer who could download data within a couple of rounds with a fighter and put that in his pocket and use it to disarm that fighter for the rest of the fight. He did it against top quality opposition, not just guys on his way up the ladder or whatever. Don't forget, in his 15th professional fight, he challenged for Jose Luis Ramirez's title, which he won, but they stole it from him. Okay. He was the consummate fighter who could do these things boxing. Now, the whole thing about being as elusive as he was, it was done with spontaneous movements that other fighters weren't doing at the time. Now, there's some old school fighters that could do what he was doing, but that dipping, as was mentioned by Callie, that ability to bend over and come up on the other side of you. And remember this, he wasn't running away from guys. He would stand in front of you and you couldn't hit him with a handful of buckshot. So Whitaker was good, and all the while scoring at the same time. Which, like I said, if Ray Leonard was able to frustrate Duran in their rematch, Whitaker would have made Duran walk out the ring.
Yeah, but that's like a whole bunch of woulda, shoulda, coulda. Because you're talking about Whitaker versus Ray Leonard. Ray Leonard, we done seen that shit in the flesh. We seen it. So we know what that is. Whitaker, not so much.
So here a couple of things I want to add. The Jesus fight, that is true. I mean, he did hand Duran his first loss, but the Jesus had I think more power than Sweet Pea. He caught him with a hook and dropped Duran. You know what I mean? And I think that made that was a big dynamic in the fight. And Duran came back and beat him, twice and stopped him. So now the question is, obviously this will not be the second or third fight. This will be their first fight. But I think, the best version of Duran, which wasn't quite there yet when he fought Jesus the first time. I think he got better over time. That's why I just have him like by like a sliver, just edging it out. Let's go ahead and before I put this out for a vote, whoever hasn't said anything in return, anybody else want to say anything before I put it out for a vote? Okay, let's go ahead and put it for the vote, guys. So listen to me very, very carefully. It's going to be a 1 for Roberto Duran, 2 for Whitaker. That it's literally, it's basically even with the panel, right? So it's going to come down to the chat. The chat's going to decide this. 1 Duran, 2 Whitaker. Go ahead and put that in the chat. You guys are going to make the difference here. Is it Manos de Piedra or Sweet Pea Whitaker? Man, it's pretty lopsided in the chat so far. All right, so well. We got 1 for Duran, and it's very lopsided for Whitaker in the chat, guys. So I'm going to say that right now. It looks like Whitaker's going to win this one. And but we will see as it progresses here. Let's give you guys about 30 more seconds. Once again, 1 for Duran, 2 for Whitaker, and we're going to call this one. Christian Deville says Pryor should have beaten Duran. Well, all right, guys, I'm going to count to 10. It's a wrap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like a ref, and it's over. You know what I mean? There's another 1 for Duran. It's just way too many twos for Whitaker to overcome. All right. It was a close one, but in the end, Whitaker takes this one via the chat. All right.
So Whitaker, split decision.
Yeah, you could call it whatever you want. Pretty unanimous by the chat, though. So there you go. Whitaker advances. We will now go and blood voted for Whitaker as well. Let's go ahead and move on to the next semi here. De La Hoya.
I wanted to say something real quick.
Really quick.
If you don't mind. Dude was saying that he was saying that that Pryor should have moved on. Well, Scott Norwood should have made a field goal, and the Buffalo Bills would have won a Super Bowl. So, I mean, shit happens, bro. Just wanted to throw that out there. I know that's good. Not to you know, throw it in your face, man. I'm just saying that's what should have happened.
What's going on here? Like hell, just throwing shots at me right now. I don't know what's going on, bro, but it's all right. Oh man. All right, Whitaker advances, guys.
Sorry, bro. I didn't mean to give you that bad memory.
See who he will face. De La Hoya, Ken Buchanan, Curtis Anderson. Who wins that matchup, in your opinion?
De La Hoya knocks out Buchanan, probably like 7 to 8 rounds. At the end of the day, the skills pay the bills, man, and there's levels to this. And I think people forget that Ken Buchanan, you know, good fighter, you know, gives it all, but De La Hoya is, you know, was born to fight and been in with the ring with everybody, lightweight, knocking people out, cleaning their clock. De La Hoya, well, box, use the jab, and then land the left hook. I got De La Hoya winning by 8th round knockout.
Okay. Oscar De La Hoya there. Callie, how do you see it?
Yeah, man. I have Oscar De La Hoya by destruction, man. To me, this is a 5-round fight. I think it lasts 5 rounds. I think Oscar will set him up with the left hook. You know, but first, he'll use the jab. Oscar will use the jab early on in the fight. Something that he always abandons, but the fight's not going to go on that long, so he won't be able to abandon the jab too early, or late in the middle of the fight. So I think Oscar will stay behind the jab. He'll end up cleaning him up with the left hook, and the fight will be over. And I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-punch knockout. Well, I should say 1-punch knockout, but it'll be a left hook knockout. He won't get up, and once he hits the mat, he won't get up. The fight will be over, and we'll be talking about the next fight.
All right, and Big Dog Willie, De La Hoya or Ken Buchanan?
De La Hoya, just too much talent, better fighter. That's all I'm going to say. I got 4 rounds. Yeah, just okay. Better.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with Stormy B-Man. How do you see this one?
This is going to be a highlight reel victory for De La Hoya. A lot like what Callie said. It could be within 3 rounds, but he would hit Buchanan with hand speed and that left hook that was so blazing of his at that time. It'll be faster than anything Buchanan has ever seen before, and he'll be on his face or on his back. It wouldn't even be one of those things where he tried to get up or something. He would be out cold. De La Hoya would smash him. Plus, he'd have that bit of a height advantage and everything, and the reach, and he would just make it work. It would be a highlight reel knockout for him.
All right. Well, I put that a little too early. Hold on. But Chad, give me a one for Ken, for De La Hoya, 1 for De La Hoya, 2 for Ken Buchanan. Does anybody in the chat think Ken wins it? Anybody?
Ken's knee will bend.
You might get him with a body shot, make him bend the knee. Yeah, that happens a lot when Mexican fighters fight British dudes. Okay, but shout out to the UK. Rapid fast left hook. I love that Vargas hook, even though it was later in a higher weight class, blazing fast. Yeah, he got Vargas pretty good with that one. With that said, guys, it's pretty clear that De La Hoya blazed through, which just kind of ran through his portion here. But let's go ahead and I think this one's a little more interesting than some people think. But hey, not that I know it's gonna win, but Whitaker versus De La Hoya. Let's run it. Curtis Anderson, how do you see it?
Well, they fought and De La Hoya won, controversially, of course. I thought Whitaker. I thought De La Hoya in career. I'm gonna say this real quick. Yep. I thought Stern beat him. I thought Whitaker beat De La Hoya, but I thought De La Hoya beat Mosley in the second fight. You know, I really did. You know, I was surprised they gave it to Mosley, and You know, he ran himself out the Trinidad fight. So he had a strange career with the decisions, man. You know, but at lightweight, you know, I think Whitaker will beat De La Hoya, but it will be tougher because of the style. It will be tougher than expected. It wouldn't be a walkover for Whitaker. You know, De La Hoya will have his moments, and Whitaker, you know, will have his. I think it's a close fight coming down the stretch. I think Whitaker will probably win the last 2 rounds, and I got Whitaker beating De La Hoya 115, 113 because, you know, his size and power, you know, you have to respect it. You know, De La Hoya was a good fighter, but I like Whitaker to move on, and a very competitive and close fight.
Okay. All right. Well said. Stormy B-Man, how do you see it?
Seeing that these two fought, and it was later in Whitaker's career that they faced each other, and the fight was still close as you can make it, and many could argue that Sweet Pea won. De La Hoya couldn't hit him then. So if you're talking about him facing Whitaker when he was at lightweight at his best, pound for pound in the sport, that would be even less of an opportunity for De La Hoya to land shots. And Whitaker, with the guile, experience, and everything that he had that De La Hoya had not begun to have, Whitaker all day long, and in a unanimous decision this time. And that's what I got to say about that.
All right. Another one. Big Dog Willie, how do you see it?
Man, the first fight, I don't think it was really that. I thought it was close, but it wasn't as close as people thought it was. I thought Whitaker just won the fight. People were like, "Oh no, it wasn't close." I had him winning 8-4, 8 rounds to 4, and I guess you can call that kind of close. But I have Whitaker just because I seen this fight and I seen De La Hoya struggling to hit Whitaker, and it was an older Whitaker. So, yeah. I got Whitaker just on that strength since we've seen this fight, and they're talking about their primes. So
yeah, okay, all right. And Kelly, how do you see it? Kelly, you there?
Yo, man, trying to get off mute, man. It just a nightmare at time to get off mute.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got it the same way, man. I think that Pernell Whitaker ends up winning 8 rounds to 4. Knowing how judging goes, probably end up being so I'll call it 7 rounds to 5. Split decision. Pernell Whitaker beats Oscar De La Hoya via split decision. I think I would have probably scored an 8 round to 4, but the judges scored 7 rounds to 5. So that's why I said. And be honest with you, I mean, but since it's a tournament, we have to give some advance somebody. I would probably say the judge would call it a draw. That's a whole other subject, though.
Right. Look, here's what I'll say, man. Let me just give my pick right away. I do think Whitaker would win. But what I will say about the fight, look. I disagree, Big Dog Willie. I think it was close. I know. Yes, Whitaker is really good at evading punches, and that really sticks out. But to say the Austrian never landed on him is a stretch. I can pull up still pictures of punches landing, you know. But now, did he land as much? Did he land a much lower percentage than he usually did? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But I personally gave that fight to Whitaker 7 rounds to 5. But I wouldn't be angry at somebody that had it a draw or something like that. The scorecards from the judges definitely were a travesty. I'll say that as well. And the rematch should have happened immediately, in my opinion. It would have given Oscar an opportunity to either win more clearly or Whitaker an opportunity to right or wrong, you know. But with that said, I do think at lightweight, however, that it wouldn't be as controversial. I think Whitaker would outbox De La Hoya. There'll always be the danger of the left hook, but ultimately, you know, I think Whitaker would outbox him here to a. I think it would be an their fight at welterweight was pretty entertaining. I think the lightweight one would be as well. I don't know if anybody thinks it would be like a dull fight. I think it would be an exciting fight. I think De La Hoya wins maybe 3 or 4 rounds, but it's competitive but clear Pernell Whitaker victory, in my opinion. And that's what I'll say about that. Okay. Now, is it possible that's how I see it, and the judges would give it to De La Hoya? Absolutely. Anything could happen, but hey, who was going to say something?
I want to say something for marketing purposes. I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to De La Hoya. Let's keep it 100 here, man. Oscar was a draw. You know what I mean? We got to be honest. We can't. We know that boxing makes decisions based off stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me if that happened, even if Pernell Whitaker dominated from a marketing standpoint, which Oscar stated. Oscar knew he lost the fight, but he laughed like hell. I'm a draw. I'm a star. Of course, I'm going to get the decision. You really thought he was going to get the decision? Man, come on. I said, who's it? I generate revenue. Of course I was going to win. And I mean, you can get mad at it and it's frustrating, but what he said was true. It's fucked up, but it's true.
All right, let's proceed, guys, just because I know Curtis, I don't want him to run out of the batters before we get to the finals. So,
no, I'm cool. I'm cool. My wife went to work, so I'm in the bedroom. I got my phone on the charger.
Okay. Well, like this guy, like Curtis will do anything to talk boxing. Like, I'm going to go plug right now. But, I hear you, man. Let's go ahead, man. Talk about this one. You know what I mean? Look, we're about to do it, guys. Let me just bring it up here. But Sweet Pea Whitaker versus Julio Cesar Chavez. They fought, and I believe what was a catch weight. I don't think they fought at an official weight class, if I remember correctly. All right. And if I could get this thing going, give me a second. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but Chavez Whitaker at 135 pounds. All right. Let's start with you, Curtis. How do you see
it? Well, they fought, and the writing's on the wall. And if you know me by now, you know I'm big on footwork because it can neutralize an opponent. You can go through boxing history all the way back to Jack Dempsey was this terror, just like Duran was, just like Chavez was, Jack Dempsey, that is. He was mowing through people, and he fought a smart boxer, scientific boxer, an Irish fighter by the name of Gene Tunney. And Gene Tunney gave him a boxing lesson twice. And you can look at scientific fighters like Billy Conn, who was beating the hell out of the great Joe Louis, and you could look at Ali and George Foreman and Ali and Liston, and the writing's on the wall. This is the science of boxing 101. The guy that can move, and like I said before in the gym, we used to say a fighter without footwork is like a blind man without a cane. When you can use footwork, and I know, it won't be the most exciting fight, but I like seeing a brawl, like Hearns and Hagler and Lau and Foreman and, Barrera Morales. I like seeing fights like that. I'm human, but there's a saying in boxing, win this one, look good the next one. And Whitaker will box. He was spinning. He was turning Chavez in that fight in San Antonio in 1993. That was the key. He was breaking his rhythm because a fighter that likes to come forward, he has to plant his foot and plant his feet, just like Trinidad, and he was tipping his punches against Hopkins. But, here, Whitaker was using his footwork to turn him. And if you look at that fight, you can see the frustration on Chavez's face. Whitaker went to another level. He took the crowd out the fight, and he went to another level. He made a special fighter, look pedestrian. So I like Whitaker. He will never hurt Chavez. I like Whitaker by decision. He did put a little, cut on his nose. I like Whitaker by unanimous decision. I would say 8-4. Whitaker, unanimous decision winner.
Is it a closer fight in your opinion at 135 than it was at 145?
That's why I said 4. Before I gave him like 2 rounds or whatever, but I think Chavez probably went a round or two more because of the weight, but this is about styles. And I think the footwork of Whitaker neutralizes Chavez's offense. He needs to get inside to go to the body. That's his bread and butter, and Whitaker wouldn't let him do it. He'll keep turning them, middle of the ring, turning them, and, throw combinations and pot shots like he did again in San Antonio. So I like Whitaker to win the fight.
Okay. Look, I gotta take a piss. So Stormy, I'm gonna be gone for a little bit, but Stormy B man, give us your thoughts, bro. I'll be right back, guys.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think that this fight, being at lightweight, when both fighters were kind of more at their best, more a highly or a higher competed fight will be at lightweight. However, you would see the best of Whitaker again with that movement he had, the footwork, the elusiveness, the dipsy-do that I like to call it that he does, being able to make Chavez miss, make him pay, running the combinations on Chavez, and also turning him and turning him and turning him. That was a staple. You could hear Lou Duva yelling from the corners, turn him, turn him, turn him, and you could see Sweet Pea getting off with that straight left down the pike. And though Chavez had a great chin, it's a scoring shot. And I do believe the margin of victory would be a great deal wider for Whitaker at this time. Fighters like Chavez, he could almost time their beat. And he could beat them to the punch. He could beat them to the spot. He could step over, give an angle, let the guy think he's getting ready to get some free dinner, and then snatch the bag away from him and move around and get to another side and angle. That's what he was doing at his best. He did it to Ramirez. He did it to so many other fighters, and Chavez would be no different. The only thing was, by the time they fought later, Chavez's name had really had a chance to be built up, to that point where it was on par. But Whitaker, when he was at lightweight, man, he was devastating. And they did all they could to keep him from getting that title because they wanted that unification between Ramirez and Chavez, all Mexican unification. This man was going out there beating up men in 15 pro fights for world titles. So this is what I see from Whitaker. A lot of people don't want to give him the credit that he deserved. He, like another fighter of that era, you had Larry Holmes. It's like people didn't want to give these great boxers their just due. Everybody likes people who can knock people out, knock them off their feet, intimidate folks and everything, because that is the perception of strength in society. But no, it's the person who's steady. It's the person who is ready, the person that's prepared, that has tools to bring along for whatever the job may call for. A fighter like Holmes, a fighter like Whitaker. That's the person who lasts. That's the person who will be the last man standing. Those guys you think that's tough and rough and that could do it all, even like Chavez. You find that deep down inside, there's a little quit in those guys. So no, Whitaker wins this one hands down. That's what I have to say about that one.
All right, Stormy's got Whitaker, Cali Enigma. How do you see it?
Yeah, man. I got Whitaker, man. I saw the fight. Funny thing is that I had bet on this fight when I was in school, and they scored it a draw, and I made the dude pay me anyway. Because I felt absolutely disgusted. I'm like, goddamn well that Whitaker won this fucking fight. So I forced dude to pay me anyway. I said, I'll beat the shit out of you, man. You'll fucking pay me, man. I don't care what happened in the fight, what the way it was ruled. I made dude pay me up on the bet anyway. So it wasn't like it was a huge bet, but basically, based off back in the 90s, man. Shit, $20, that was pretty good for me for a high school kid. So yeah, man. I made dude pay me up, bro. I made for sure he had to fucking pay me up. You paid me. But yeah, man, I think that I do. I think the footwork was a big deal, and I saw what dude said. He said that he said that Chavez was out of his prime, was a little past it. Um,
Well, he was.
somewhat. I guess you could say somewhat, but I mean, even in his prime, bro, Whitaker was just always just because of the footwork, the style. The style was always going to give him problems. Maybe would have been a little bit closer than what it was, but I just think the style was always going to give Chavez problems, and just Whitaker is just a fucking A-class fighter, man. His style, the ability, like I told you before, the ability to dip underneath shots, come back counter, and he can stand right in front of you and just slip shots right in front of you, dip underneath shots and counter and work the body and still slip shots, parry shots, and then pivot out of danger, man. That's just and then if he needed to get on his toes, he can get on his toes and bounce around the ring and pot shot you on the outside if he needed to do that. Just a special fighter, man. Big Dog Willie said, "My phone effing up. I got Whitaker. F. Dillian White." That's right, F. Dillian White. The show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Big Dog Willie. I hear you guys, but let me offer some insight here. So the fight was at 145 pounds. It was a catch weight for whatever reason. So for those that don't believe catch weights didn't happen in the past, they did. And what's interesting is that the catch weight was not to benefit Whitaker. Okay, that was to benefit Chavez, who was a 140-pound guy. Okay, I just want to make sure people understand that. The fight, I don't know. Whitaker was not that big of a guy, so maybe it wasn't much of an effect, but it might have affected him a little bit. We don't know. But it wasn't meant to help Whitaker. Okay, I just want to make sure people understand that, and I acknowledge that. Chavez was almost 90 fights in, so I think it's fair to say it was not. I'm not going to say he was out of his prime, but he was in the tail end of his prime. But it was still a very good Chavez. Okay, but on the flip side, Whitaker was better at 135 than it was at 147. So even if you say, well, Chavez was better, but so was Whitaker, though. You know what I mean? So like the scale moves together. I do think whatever physical attributes Chavez brought, it was going to be the same thing at 135 pounds. Like Whitaker was like he dealt with. He was going to deal with it the same way, I believe. So I do think that there's always going to be that one guy that, regardless, at what point of your career you were in, he just had the style to beat you. He just had your Achilles heel. And it wasn't just the footwork. The upper body movement of Whitaker was unbelievable, right? And his ability to make you miss shots when he's standing in front of you, it's just amazing. So while I do think Chavez wins at least 4 rounds in this fight, I still think Whitaker ultimately comes out the victor. All right. And that's what I say about that.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you brought that up. There's always the one guy that gave you problems. Iran Barkley, man, was just for Tommy Hearns, man. It just you would think about it, you wouldn't think it makes sense, but it makes sense. Tommy Hearns just had fucking problems with Iran Barkley, man. He just had his number.
But let me say this: look, Whitaker wasn't the squeaky clean dude outside the ring either, though. Like
he wasn't. He was also involved with cocaine.
Well, when did Whitaker develop all his issues outside the ring? Anybody know?
Yeah, I start because my family's from Suffolk, Virginia, and he's from Norfolk, Virginia. And, Whitaker, I would say in the mid-'90s, like around about 95, you start hearing stuff. But it might happen around about 94, 95, you start hearing rumors because he liked to party, and he was having problems with his own family. Trying to take his money. You heard all kinds of stuff, man. I believe he took his own family to court, but, you start hearing stuff about Pernell Whitaker, rumors, because I used to be in the gyms heavy, and you was like, you heard about, man, that guy Pernell, man, he doing this and that. You always heard about what fighters were doing. Always.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did mention that CMB, he did have that many fights under his belt. And I acknowledge that, and that's why I think it would be closer at 135 pounds than it was at 145. But again, I mean, we have to be fair in the assessment. Like people will say, well, that wasn't Chavez's weight, but was it really Whitaker's weight? I mean, or was Whitaker just so skilled that he could compete at lightweight at that point? So a lot of guys don't move up because they just
Whitaker was small guy, bro, very small guy.
Yeah. Plus, at that point, Whitaker was fighting where the weight limit was 147, and he's the one that had to kind of say, okay, I'll weigh in at 145. So for what it's worth, you know what I mean? I think it's an exciting fight. I think it's close. I don't think it's as close as the Durant fight, though. I'll tell you that. But since we're at it, let's just do the vote really quick. 1 for Chavez, 2 for Whitaker. We're going to see if Whitaker's a two-time fantasy champion, bro. Look at this. Well, we're about to find out. They're already starting with the twos right there. Scrapbook says a fighter like Chavez would always have issue with a boxer like Whitaker because of Chavez's balance and timing. Right? Bruce goes another 2-2. CMB does say 1. There's a vote for Chavez. I could see the argument for Chavez, but I mean, it is what it is. All right. So you guys could put in your votes right there on who you think would win. 1 for Chavez, 2 for Whitaker.
He's not lying about Whitaker's balance, man. They do have a great balance, man. Especially with the ability to. I mean, that's insane, bro. You don't even see anybody, doing that at all today, dipping down that low, man, and slipping shots, and I mean, that's just wow. That tells you how strong his legs were, too, to be able to do that. Yeah. To be able to dip down that low.
I seen him at his pro debut, Madison Square Garden. It was called Night of Gold. The whole '84 Olympic team. Holyfield fought. What's his name? Barnum. He looked just like Joe Louis, man. I thought it was Joe Louis reincarnated. He couldn't fight like Joe Louis though, but he looked like his son. And Purnell was the star of the night, man. His angles, his speed. I said, this kid gonna be special, man. I heard about him, in the amateur days. This guy from Virginia, Sweet Pea. Purnell Whitaker. My uncles. All of them was boxing historians, and my father, my uncle Rayfield, my uncle Jimmy, my uncle Alfred, my father Calvin. They used to always talk about up and coming fighters because you didn't have television or the internet. You just heard about them through word of mouth. One of my uncles had a church not too far away from Sugar Ray Leonard's house, in Palmer Park, Maryland. He was down that way, and he told me about this guy named Raymond Leonard in 1975. I was like 9 years old, but Purnell was always special, and he lived up to all the hype, man. And that's not easy. That's not easy to do, And he went through people. He made fighters look ordinary. I was a fan of Jose Luis Ramirez, and he made him look slow and robotic. But that's Purnell. He was a very special fighter, man.
Well, let me tell you something, man. He must be quite special because he's now won 2 fantasy tournaments. You know what I mean? So Whitaker wins this fight. Whitaker started to lean back, bro. They got to give him some royalties for that. But
yeah, can I say something? The fight I wanted to see, this is the best fight in the whole tournament. Part 1 and part 2 was Roberto Duran versus Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. You talking about a war? You talk about a war? Both of them going to each other's bodies. It would have been like when Arnold was fighting that Terminator in Terminator 2. It would have been just like that. When they was throwing each other in the brick walls and the walls was breaking, it would have been just like that. That was because I was hoping when you hear me say, man, Whitaker Duran, I don't like this pick because I wanted Duran to face Chavez, but that's the way it turns out sometime, and that would have been the best fight of the whole tournament.
And
Yeah.
I want
Well,
to say something.
we could tell about, but go ahead, Kelly. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. The '84 Olympic team was something else, man. I remember being in LA for the '84 Olympics. My family, we went on vacation, went down and stayed at my uncle Robert's house down in South Central LA, and they had their '84 Olympic team. They walked by. But they also had the Olympic team that the runners ran by too. So I got a chance to see the Olympic boxing team. I got a chance to see the track team. I got a chance to see who else? I forgot who else. But it's been so long. But my uncle's his house was like 4 minutes away from the LA Memorial Coliseum. So that was a good time, good memories, man. Still have some of that stuff on VHS, man. I gotta find a way to pull some of that stuff off, but it was really cool, man. I remember the '84 Olympics, man. Yeah, Pernell Whitaker, Vander Holyfield, man. Great. I mean, that was a lot of talent on that '84 team, on '84 Olympic team. I don't know if we'll ever have that kind of talent on the Olympic team again. Wow, that's all I can say is wow, man.
Jamie Dale, this was modern day, like the last 20 years, versus some fighters from the 90's, 80's, and 70's. So it was not all time. The welterweight one we did was not all time. The reason I do that is because I'm having people in the chat vote. And I mean, let's be honest. If I put some names from like the 50s, 60s, dudes are not even going to know who they are. You know what I mean? So I do want to do some tournaments. It probably won't be as big for just to put the known names for welterweight and lightweight in the future. But for now, that's what we did. But we still had a lot of great names, though. We really did. But we could still do it, Curtis. I mean, shit.
You should do it.
Let's do Duran versus Chavez for second place. Let's just do it for the sake of it. You know what I mean? But how would you see that fight, Curtis?
Oh man, this fight will be like a fight. A lot of people wouldn't know this fight, but it would be like Carmen Basilio versus Tony DeMarco. Look at that fight. They fought twice. Fight of the year candidates, one in Syracuse, one in Boston. I believe it took place at what, 55? You know, if my memory serves me right. Hey man, oh man, I'll be gung ho over this fight because if to be a boxing fan, if you told me that Whitaker was fighting but Duran and Chavez fighting, even though Chavez in the final, I would pick the Duran and Chavez fight over the Whitaker fight because as a boxing fan that's bloodthirsty and want to see a fight like that, I will pick that fight because that fight will be an all-time great. You have two special fighters, you know, that's basically prototype, but the difference, Duran was even more ferocious at 135, but so was Chavez. Chavez, go look at the Rosario fight, how he broke Rosario into two pieces, man. He broke him down, you know, and Duran, when I see him fight the Jesus at Panama City, the way he punished him and knocked him out in the 13th round, that would be a war, man. They would not back up. It will be a war of attrition, ebb and flows. It will be an all-time great fight. But I got Duran winning. You know, hypothetically, you know, 15-round fight. I got Duran winning in 14. I got him wearing down Chavez, and Chavez had a chin of steel, but Duran was a murderous puncher to the head and to the body. 12th round, I got decision for Duran in a brutal fight. You know, reminiscent of Bobby Chacon versus Rafael Bazooka Lamone. You know, it would have been an all-time great fight. When we do fantasy fights, we don't mention those guys, man. But, you know, Duran and Chavez will be one for the ages.
All right. Okay. And how do you see it, Stormy? Chavez versus Duran. Mano de Piedra versus el gran campeón mexicano.
Great fight. I kind of am in agreement with Kurt Sugar there. And I think that Duran would get the better of Chavez because I do believe that Duran had more levels to go to. Chavez was like steady like rain, but Duran could outslick people and things like that. Like Kurt and I shared a conversation once where we were talking about in Scrapbook, we were on the Three Wise Men, and we talked about Duran's ability to sucker fighters in to make them think that he was being hurt, or he take a shot a certain kind of way and throw his hair like to make it look like it really landed. He would be setting traps for an opponent. And I do believe that Chavez would be foolish enough to not know that, and that he would be able to take Chavez apart on the inside, because as much as we think we feel that Chavez was an inside fighter, he wasn't an inside fighter. He knew how to go to the body, but Duran was an inside fighter. He relished being close to guys so he could put his hands on him, and then he could also do little tricks and everything like I spoke of, the grunting and things like that. If you threw a shot that didn't hurt him, he might like, make a noise like you really did hurt him, because he knows that you're going to open up and he's going to take advantage of you opening up. So he would do certain things that were of a higher boxing IQ, whereas Chavez kind of he was more systematic. And I think that Duran could take advantage of that. And it would be one of those things where he would just be able to take some things away from Chavez, and we might even see Chavez quit in the later rounds as a result of it.
Okay. The way I see it, man, and I'll let you go in a moment, Cali, but I don't know if Duran has like the style to fight Chavez. I think you have to box around Chavez. I think you got to stick and move with Chavez. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to say right now. Go ahead, Cali. I'm gonna think about this one.
Once again, I can't get off mute. Okay, here we go. Finally, let me off mute. Yeah, man. Man, that's a really good fight. Me personally, I think it's a fight where both guys hit the mat. I do. I think both guys hit the mat and get up off the mat at some point in the fight. Wow.
Well, if you're not ready, I kind of thought about something.
Yeah, but yeah, I think both guys, get up off the mat, and I think that Jesus Christ. Okay, I don't know, man. I need more time. Go ahead, B-Star.
You know what? Nah, because look, I'm thinking about the Rocky Lockridge fight, and I think Duran will probably back Chavez up. Like, the more I think about it, like, Duran was a strong dude. I mean, when you look at, like, if they were both bulls, right? One of them moved all the way up to like 168 pounds, something crazy like that, and still had power to hurt guys. One guy, like at welterweight, that was already like too much for him. You know what I mean? Size wise, although he's kind of past it, but still, Duran also, he was undisciplined. He would balloon up in weight and go down in weight too, So I think in the power department, obviously Duran has the advantage. Although I think Chavez do a number to Duran's body, I still think Duran will ultimately, pull it off. I think the power will be too much, and the more I think about it, and the more resistance he puts on Chavez, and Chavez doesn't really do anything that Duran doesn't like. The reason Duran quit in that Leonard fight wasn't because Leonard was beating the shit out of him. It was because he was so frustrated that Leonard was, sticking and moving a lot, and that's why he said, "Ya no quiero más con este payaso." You know what I mean? He didn't really say I quit in that sense, So I do think it's I could see Chavez. Maybe the corner stops it or something, but I could see a late round stoppage in that fight.
Hey, you start. We talking? I think Curtis said that he called it a 15-round fight. If it's 15 rounds, the bigger guy will more than likely so last. And at that point, you got to believe Duran. More time to put more damage on Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Then yeah, man. How about this? 14-round knockout in around 14. Both guys trading blows, and I think that Duran, being the bigger guy, also very dangerous. Both guys very dangerous. Stops Chavez in the 14th round.
Kind of like what AJ10 said. He goes, Chavez is a great white. He will systematically hunt you down and take you down like a shark. I mean, but Duran is an orca, more versatile, and they have the ability to hunt great whales. And they also kill great whites too. So,
Yep.
man, I never seen an analogy like that, but that's interesting. I like that. But as I thought about it, yeah, I think Duran might be too much for Chavez. But, it's okay, though, because Duran's dad was Mexican, bro. It's okay. You know what I mean?
It sure was. It sure was.
And he was a Mexican from the U.S., I believe, in California or Nevada, or I don't know where he was from. That so he's like so the U.S. could claim Duran, Mexico claimed Duran. Okay,
Panamanians weren't hearing that because I used to talk with them. They was like, "No, he's Panamanian."
He's ours. Yeah, well, we let him have him, bro. Let him have Duran for sure, bro. He was a great fighter, and Mexico had a lot of great fighters, so did the U.S. They deserve him. You know what I mean? That's where he was from.
Man, when you know the history of the sport, you appreciate all these fighters. From the very first champion to the champions they got now. The first Mexican champion was Solomon Garcia Smith, 1897. He beat George Dixon, which was the first black champion in 1890. So you take fighters from their first champion all the way to now, and you see the history, of Mexican fighters and black fighters, done had some terrific, amazing fighters. I done seen amazing fighters, man. We all have, going back, like Jewish fighters were great. Like Benny Leonard was a great lightweight champion. I mean, that's turn of the century. And when people talk about stuff like one guy was like, Georgie Benton invented the shoulder roll. I said, no, he didn't. That comes from Dave Holly, a fighter from Philly. It was the shoulder roll, what Mayweather does, the guy that did it, Dave Holly, that was the turn of the century in the 1900s. But see, it's hard to go that far because, it takes decades and decades to know all this, man. Like I said, I've been studying boxing since I was 7 years old, but you just appreciate like Salvador Sanchez. A lot of people can, you can always go back and look how great those fighters was, man. And I'm gonna tell you something. When I was listening to WBL's radio, boxing was so big, they interrupted a record and said there's tragedy, a great featherweight fighter, Salvador Sanchez, dies in a car crash. And that's the first time I see my father cry when he came through the door. Because Sanchez was a Mexican fighter, but his popularity and his skill was so appreciated by the black community. The older guys was like, had tears in their eyes because Salvador Sanchez was even a better fighter than Julio Cesar Chavez, Marquez, Ricardo Finito Lopez. He was that great. He was a special fighter.
Yep. Sanchez was some special, man, and that was a tragedy too. What happened, But that was my grandfather's favorite fighter. He was a big Salvador Sanchez guy, for sure. But man, this has been something else. I'm gonna put a link in the chat since Whitaker did win. Like, you know what I mean? You guys gotta go check out. It's in the chat there. Go check out Blood's documentary. Pernell Whitaker, episode 1. It starts with, and then watch the other episodes as you watch the rest. Great stuff.
What weight class you gonna do next, man? Are you gonna stick to 135?
Well, middleweight won the poll, so
the middleweight won the poll. Okay.
So
middleweight,
that's gonna be something else, man. Oh my god,
So we're going to do middleweight, and then I definitely want to do featherweight after middleweight. So 126.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that'll be interesting because everyone does heavyweight. You know what I mean? Like everywhere I look, everybody's been doing heavyweight. But not to say that we can do heavyweight. But yeah, I'll probably draft out tomorrow, so you guys can tune in for that.
You know what though? Even when boxing comes back, man, you should keep doing this, man. This is fucking awesome, bro. And even when boxing comes back, you should keep doing this. This has been fun, man. This has made boxing fun again. I know it's fantasy fights, but at least we're talking about legends and guys who have fought someone. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you feel better, and it's always good to go back and watch. And yes, and you guys really should. You guys really should go back and watch Lumbridge versus Chavez, bro. Go back and watch that. Go back and watch that fight. That fight was crazy. And I know you remember that, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fight was crazy.
Yeah,
Lockridge, sorry about that. Lockridge. But yeah, go ahead and check that fight out. My dad, I still have that on my dad's DVD, but it is not DVD, excuse me, VHS. But it is available on YouTube. But my dad has several fights on VHS, man. I gotta start extracting some of these fights because they're not all available on YouTube, man. But I gotta start extracting some of these goddamn fights that my dad had on VHS, man. And my dad has one of the Ali's. I think it was called, what was the shit called again? Ali Skills. I forgot the name of that documentary.
Skill, Brains, and Guts.
Yeah, Skill, Brains, and Guts. Yeah, my dad has that shit on VHS, man. Can't find that shit nowhere, but my dad still
has YouTube. It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube now? Okay.
Yeah, go to this channel called Real Black. REELBLACK. It's on there now.
I'll tell you what, though, the middleweight tournament's going to piss off a bunch of Triple G fans. I can tell you that right now.
If he's in, he's going to get eliminated early.
Depends who he fights, of course. But, yeah, we'll see. But I'll probably do it the same way, like last 10 or 20 years, and then 90s, 80s, 70s, have them face off in the first round. I think it was very telling, man, that it was the tournament for the most part, outside of a couple fighters like Mayweather and Mosley, outside of a couple. I mean, dude, the old school dudes just dominated. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't even close, but,
Hey, can I say this, D-Style?
Yeah,
can you, if Triple G fought in the 90s, he'd call out Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., bro, at middleweight. That's who he would try to fight. Y'all know I'm right. He would definitely call him out.
He wouldn't be the
come on, it's not. You want to be a good Drake drama show? Let's fight. Come on, me and him.
He wouldn't be the eighth side, so he ain't gonna call no shots. Okay, in that case, but I'm gonna go around here really quick. Curtis, man, I want to thank you again for joining us, man. For this, we appreciate your insight, your knowledge. It's almost second to none. So I want to, what do you think about Whitaker now winning 2 fantasy tournaments, a welterweight and a lightweight? And are you surprised by that, given the amount of talent there was in the pool? And, what are your overall thoughts?
Well, it's a great job by you putting this together, man. It's a great, thank you for inviting me. I like sharing my insight, because I can see the fighters fight in my head. It's almost like it happened already. It's weird. Thank you for the chat, but I was surprised that Whitaker got the nod. He's just a very difficult guy to fight. It's his style, man. He's not unbeatable. No fighter is unbeatable, but it's just his style is like really hard, But Duran and oh man, Duran and Chavez, I wanted to see. It didn't happen like that, but congrats to Whitaker. It's just that certain fighters are hard to fight. And that was why Pernell had the edge, But great tournament, man. I look forward to the middleweight tournament. You did a great job, man. And, I don't even think about boxing because I was thinking about this tournament, So kudos go out to you. Everybody support D-Style, man. Drop something for him. And, he deserves it, man. Hard work, man. And we thank you, man. you're a very good boxing channel, man. So, shout out to D Style Boxing and the panel, Cal Enigma, Big Dog Wooly, Stormy B Man, so, shout out to them as well. I enjoyed it. Great job.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for dropping by, Kelly. Give me some final thoughts. Well, first of all, what do you think about Whitaker winning? Are you surprised? And just your overall thoughts.
Not surprised by Pernell Whitaker, man. Great fighter. Great, and it's gonna be crazy what I'm getting ready to say, but he was also underrated as a fighter. Great fighter, legendary fighter, but very underrated. But nothing surprising me about Pernell Whitaker. He had a great skill set, high boxing IQ, and he believed in challenging himself. Great competitor. Most of these guys were great competitors, especially the guys from the 70's, 80's, and 90's. Even some dudes up into the early 2000s. But yeah, man, I appreciate you for putting this together. This is fun, man. I enjoyed this. I was annoyed by boxing. Too much shit talking in boxing right now when knowing no fights are going to go on. And what this just brings you back. This brings you back to the memories of the great days of boxing. Lots of great fights. Lots of great fights. Back in the days of stack cards. That's one thing that Don King, you could watch a good card all the way through. And back in the days of when boxing after dark came around, we used to have good cards for boxing after dark. Some of those boxing after dark cards look almost like pay-per-view cards. Well, at least it would be definitely be pay-per-view today, or better than pay-per-view today. Some of those boxing after dark cards. So I just wanted to tell you, like I said, thank you for what you're doing, man. You're out here working hard out here, man. Appreciate you, and can't wait till we get to the next one.
Absolutely.
And salute to Stormy B and everybody else that came on too, man.
Absolutely. And Stormy B, man, I want to thank you again for stopping by, giving us your time. I know these are pretty lengthy, so I appreciate everybody that comes in. Give us your thoughts on Whitaker now winning 2 fantasy tournaments, welterweight and lightweight. Just your overall thoughts on that, man.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here. Thanks for considering me to be a part of this. It's a lot of fun, very insightful to be able to recount these guys' careers and find what places them in such special company and category. You did a great job of putting this together, and like it was said just a moment ago, you keep it up. Even when boxing resumes, we need to have something, because just like I told Reggie Owens about him calling fights, this right here is calling to remembrance the fighters, and it's very respectful. And I think that for any of them that are still around, they could even tune into this show and find some kind of entertainment in the fact that their names could be dropped and considered when putting together something like this. And RIP to Sweet Pea Whitaker, because him winning 2 of these events that you put together, it really calls to mind how great he truly was as a professional fighter. I remember my dad talking about Sweet Pea when he was an amateur, and he talked about him being able to fight in any era. He saw him at that young age. Sweet Pea was so young. He said, that kid right there can fight in any era. He was like, you see how he moves? He's like, nobody taught him that. He does that naturally. Now, just imagine once he learns what he's doing. And boy, was my dad ever so right about that. Because Sweet Pea Whitaker did take that natural ability to be able to be evasive and move around and still learn the technique and nuances of boxing, and put it all together to become the fighter that he became. An amazing guy. I'm proud to have been a part of this, because this is in the books now, and I just want to salute the brother, because he was something special. Sweet Pea Whitaker, one of my favorites, way before I came on this YouTube a community to talk about boxing and everything. He was one of the ones I really respected. So I'm just happy about this, and look forward to maybe collaborating with you more in the future on some other projects. So thanks for having me. Salute to everybody that was on here with us tonight, and I look forward to seeing you brothers again very soon.
Most definitely, man. I appreciate everybody that came through the chat, that participated in drafting out the brackets, and the panel that joined to give their insight. I look forward to doing the middleweight, the middleweights next weekend. I'll be drafting it out tomorrow. So you guys join me for that. I'll try. Now, I do want to keep it like an hour long, so it won't be that long. And I'll have that ready for you guys. And then, of course, we'll do it in the weekend, man. Also, Wednesday, I'll come on live again for Hispanics Causing Panic. Just to kind of get a show back on during the week. I'll be live with G-Funk. I almost forgot his name. But with G-Funk, Hispanics Causing Panic on Wednesday. Shout out to everybody. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. We're out, guys.
Yes, sir.
Peace.